perpetual.
G2? I would have gone king G2. Okay, but the thing is, king H3, you have to go queen
Ah,
F5
but this
check.
was a nice move. Now you have G5 and you get out. That's the point. He puts the queen on this diagonal.
Queen G8 and rook E6, and then queen H7 or queen F7 mate.
No, it's not. Oh, it is mate.
Oh my God!
He's got mate.
That's
oh my gosh, Gurevich takes him down.
It's down to Shep, but Shep is getting busted.
I'm obviously getting in that mode. You can hear my tone. Robert, Danny's getting excited. Games are about to start. Woo!
I love the transition for you from nervousness to excitement. I know there's definitely some overlaps. If it was on a Venn diagram, Danny would be somewhere in the loops. But I love it when you get excited, Danny, because I'm getting excited too. Like I said, some great matchups that we're about to see. We didn't talk about Buenos Aires versus
we didn't. You're right. Shame on.
You know, there's a reason why I didn't do it. My roommate, he is from Buenos Aires. He is Argentine. And I just don't want to talk to him about anything Argentine. I want to make him feel better about it. I got to make him stay in New York so that we can continue living together. So can't really commend Buenos Aires too much. Gonna have to make it sound worse than it is.
Well, we didn't talk too much about them. We did talk about the team they're playing this week, right? If we head back over to the pairings, everybody, of course, you can see Federico Perez Ponza. He's the leader. I think he's also a manager. So we talked about grandmaster and managers and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. I'm pretty sure Ponza is one of the managers there. You got Alan Pachot. We've got Leandro Crisa and Christian Senhueza taking on Edward Song, Atul Shetty, a Wonder Liang there, and Alexander Shaballov for the Pittsburgh Pawn Grabbers. So that we will be covering that match, even though we didn't talk too much about it.
I'm going with Pittsburgh in the upset. That's my upset of the.
Is it really an upset?
Yeah, it is.
Maybe I'm just biased towards Shaba. I feel like Shaba can always just bust out the like he's got that like mojo. It's like a ladies' man. He just like he can just bust out the mojo whenever required. So. Any Hooters, what's going to happen here very shortly is more games are going to get underway. The Pro Chess League will continue here in week one. Again, if you're just joining us, you have missed the Eastern Division. There's the scores right there. The Central Division, scores right in front of you. The Atlantic Division is what me and Grandmaster Robert Hess, Babyface Bob, as we're calling him today, with that clean-shaven look, are going to be commenting on. Robert, any final words before you and I switch to X's and O's?
Well, I just saw Mark Arnold's name that he's playing, so I think it's time to go to the games.
It is time. I was testing you. There is no more time.
Yeah, no, definitely not getting into any little bit of nonsense with you. Let's talk about chess.
Let's talk about chess.
Let's talk about you and me.
Let's talk about chess, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about the Miami champions versus the Chessbrahs and all the things that will be. We've got the one and only Amon Hambleton taking on Grandmaster Quesada. We have an English. Okay? Any thoughts? Your thoughts, Robert?
Yeah, the Canadian playing the English. And, so far it's very early, so it's, can't really say too much about it. But, Amon's been playing extremely well lately. Obviously, he earned the Grandmaster title. And more importantly than just the title itself, he's been really playing excellent chess, not just getting good results. And I think that he's going to try to grind this one out against Quesada, who's a very strong grandmaster, plays for Cuba. And so Amon has got, a lot of work to do to overcome the strong player that he's facing.
Shout out to FNCLL, who just subscribed with Twitch Prime. We appreciate the support, as we said. With premium members at Chess.com and Twitch subscribers, all of this is possible. We're going to switch over to the next game from the Chessbrahs. You got Michael Kleinman taking on Eduardo Iturrizaga, Grandmaster Iturrizaga. Say that 5 times fast. Iturrizaga is in a Maroxy bind here, an accelerated dragon. We got some positional chess, apparently, between the champions and the Chessbrahs today.
And a great decision from Michael Kleinman's perspective because, one, it seems like he's very knowledgeable about these positions, and two, he's playing a much higher-rated player. This is where a draw is okay with white. Normally, when two strong grandmasters or just two high-rated players play against each other, the sort of mantra is win with white, draw with black. But here, against such a high-rated player, it's a good decision to kind of lock the action up and gun for a longer game where his teammates can look at his board and say, okay, he's staying in the game and builds confidence. So,
right. Good,
I think
good team strategy there. I like that. Yeah.
very. And look at the position right now, right? The pawn on d6. That's a huge weakness. So you can just put a rook on d1, eventually move your bishop out of the way. And if you're able to, put that other rook on d3. So something like rook d1, bishop f1, rook d3. You do have to be worried about black going for some knight c5,
Yeah,
e6.
I was just going to say e5 is definitely a super double-edged move because it creates this opportunity for an outpost square, everybody, if you can put your pony on it. Problem is it permanently weakens this d6 pawn, and so now we're going to have this battle of attrition on the d file, right? You've got white has devious intentions against the pawn, and black wants to put a pony on d4. Shout out to James Montemagno, my partner in crime at blunders.fm, who just subscribed to our Twitch channel. Thank you for the support there. And then we got to give a shout out to Odd Bluesman1, who just subscribed. We got a couple of Twitch Prime subscribers. Really, really appreciate the love, everybody. James, love you, buddy. That's a blunders.fm shout out. Go to blunders.fm and subscribe to me and Mott's on our podcast. All right, the next game happening here in the battle between the champions and the Chessbrahs. We've got Corey Akor versus Ivan Saric. Your thoughts?
Well, Corey Akor is someone I've known for a long time, just playing at the same tournaments, and he's always been proud of his speed chess abilities. But this is a pretty tough matchup for him against Ivan Saric. Mm-hmm. That said, White is slightly better here, and the reason why is that White can gain space in the center at anytime soon. And most importantly, the bishop on b2 is stronger than his counterpart on e7. That bishop on e7 is a bit of a passive piece for the time being. The bishop on b2 is aiming at an open diagonal. However, that knight on b4 is creating a little bit of a tickle, right? That pawn on c2 immediately is under target. So a move like rook f to c1 seems to be pretty natural. Now, rook a to c1 is the move you normally play. But I guess I'm a little annoyed by knight a2 and then just knight back to b4. So I'm just going to rook f1, try to bring my knight to f1 maybe, and then try to make progress from there.
Okay, so rook f to c1, bring the knight to f1, maybe pop into e3, and who knows, maybe we do something nasty on this diagonal at down the road. But I agree, as far as the matchup on the board, right? You've definitely got the favorite playing there for the Chessbrahs and Grandmaster Ivan Saric. So the last game that is currently underway in the matchup between the Miami champions and the Chessbrahs is John Ludwig. That is not Jan Ludwig Hammer. That is John Ludwig, a young American chess player, clearly, versus Rainier Castellanos. Castellanos. Either way,
as the Argentine would say.
What is it?
My Argentine roommate, he says "sha." It's like the Argentine Spanish, like quesadilla, and it's just.
I love it.
Yeah.
Will you whisper that to me later? Yeah. Thanks.
So
all right.
The names, Danny. Sorry to not do chess right away, but if you called Jan Ludwig Hammer, if you called him John Ludwig, I feel like he'd freak out. So we definitely have to start.
I call him Jan Ludwig. Jan Ludwig actually is what I normally do. So I do make that effort. But all right, what do we have here? We have on paper we have a favored matchup for the Chessbrahs yet again. On the board so far, I think black is comfortable in this one as well. You like the battery. Not really much going on in regards to development, but white currently having to deal with the bishop under fire, and maybe that c3 pawn is weak at some point. So I kind of like black's version of this hanging pawn structure so far.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. The point that should be made, is that the pawn c3 can become a potential target. Now, that said, white can just play bishop b3, eventually play c4, bishop c2, things like that, and you can use that pawn on c3, which looks like a potential weakness, and turn it into a threatening piece by just pushing it up the board. So right. I think that white is doing perfectly fine, black as well. It's just still in the typical opening stage of the game, and as time goes on, we'll see who has the better strategy, because right now, like I said, very comfortable territory for both sides.
One of the things that black has to watch out for, which is why black played the move knight to d7, everybody, is that in addition to that c-pawn running, if a move like bishop b3 is played, the bishop might come to c2. And if there's a battery created over here against the black king side, maybe the best way to defend it is actually to put a knight, not even on f6, where it might be attacked by the bishop, but actually on f8, where it can safely guard h7. So white does have the slightly more active development, and if white is aggressive with those intentions, I'm not sure I really like the move h3, by the way. I feel like white should have played a move like bishop b3 with your ideas, Robert, of either c4, c5, bishop c2. I feel like whenever you're in a position where you have one more positional weakness, in this case the c3 pawn, than your opponent, you want activity and you want threats to compensate for your positional problems, and h3 feels like a bit too slow to me.
It's a scared move, honestly. The point of playing e3 is that when e5 comes, you don't have to worry about a pawn hanging on h2. Now, I really don't like the move. I agree with you. And I'm starting to like black's position more. And it seems strange, right? We were just talking about how it's about level. It's a typical opening plan. So how can you start liking black already? And this is important in chess. One wasted move can really turn the tide of the position. But here, black is very straightforward. Bishop b7, rook a to c8, rook f to d8. Maybe, like you said, Danny, put that knight on f8 rather than on f6. I mean, you can also always go g6 if need be, just because it's hard for white to initiate a pawn storm over there on the king side. But more importantly, the c3 pawn, which may go to c4, will require defense. And if the pawn is on c4, it's much harder to play bishop c2 because then the pawn on c4 will now be under attack. So I agree.
Small tempos could come back to haunt John Ludwig here, but let's go back to the big name matchup. International Master, still officially on FIDE rules, but we're calling him Grandmaster Amon Hamilton against Tennis Master, as he's known on, or Tennis Master, sorry. But Grandmaster Quesada. This is going to be probably the matchup, one of the biggest matchups that decides who wins this battle today. What do we got here? An English that's turned into something a little more open than you might have expected a few moves ago in the opening.
Yeah, and the bishop on a7 looks kind of offside, right? Just weirdly placed, but at the same time, it will forever pressure the pawn on d4. And then it questions white, how are you going to protect that pawn? You don't have a knight on g1 to go to f3 or to e2. And so black is going to end up castling, playing a little bit slowly, maybe go knight to f5, rook to e8, and sort of playing a thematic setup that's quite natural. That said, white doesn't have to be too concerned either because it's very difficult to really apply so much pressure on the pawn. I would start with maybe a move like bishop g5, provoking the f6. And, well, you might go h6, but essentially my point was that I don't even mind putting my bishop on e3 and you capturing it with knight f5 takes e3, because when I go f takes e3, that opens up the f file for my rook, and the bishop on g2 is the best piece on the board. So
right. So something in a line like this, you're saying you're not really too worried about white's chances of giving up the bishop pair here.
Exactly. Normally, having the two bishops is great with open space, but the bishop that's really thriving in the open space is the one on g2, not the one on a7, which, and the pawn e3 further blunts that bishop, right? Because you now have a protected pawn chain directly in line with that bishop on a7.
Okay, interesting ideas. Obviously, Amon is taking his time right now, maybe considering the moves you foreshadowed, bishop g5 or bishop to e3. But something people are also considering because of a comment in the Twitch chat, biggest chess bromance, Danny Wrench and Robert Hess or Levon Aronian and MBL? Why don't we get a vote on that on Twitter maybe, or I don't know if we could have a quick poll on that. So if you and I win, maybe we'll give away some more Diamond memberships. I feel like we should be proud if we get voted the biggest chess bromance. I mean, off air, we know we hate each other, but on air, I mean, right?
We got to be up there, right? I guess the chess bras have to be in the conversation too.
Right, but the bras have that weird bromance going on. It's like, what's going on here? This is kind of weird. You know how it is. I mean, the chess bras can be a little out there. So
yeah, I would definitely agree with that, and I think that they're a little bit more like, a little more reticent. That we're very outward with our love, and I think perhaps some rivalry going on between the chess bras, right? Because who's really the main bra? Is it Eric Hansen? Is it RVK, right? Robin Van Kampen?
Right. Well, Harstar said, I mean, basically what's weird with the chess bras is they literally live together. So, I mean, we don't. But anyway.
I think that's an argument against them, right? They're kind of forced to be cordial and love each other.
All right, well, speaking of the chess bras, we're going to keep talking about them. This is going to be a big matchup here between Amon and Quesada, but let's move on to the second game we covered, because one of the issues you have to start noticing right away, everybody, it's why we love this format. It's rapid chess. It's called the Professional Rapid Online Chess League for a reason, because already you see the I would say, slightly less experienced player using a little more time. But he did manage to gobble up that pawn on d6, Robert. We were talking about what would happen. Would white win the pawn or would black get the knight here? It looks like Kleinman is holding his own in this game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's just up a pawn.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's compensation from black's point of view. But that compensation is essentially going to try to be enough for equality, not for an advantage. There's some positions you sacrifice a pawn and it's dynamic play. No, that's not this position. That knight on e2 is making sure that knight on e6 does not come to d4. The bishop on c6 would love to move out of the way so you can attack the pawn on c4. But even if you do that, what's the big deal? And Danny, to be quite frank, let's say I go knight c3 and you go knight d4. Then what? What's your knight doing on d4? Do I really care that much? I can just go knight c3. If you go knight d4, maybe I can go bishop e2, inviting you to capture my bishop for your good knight, and then put my bishop on f1, so c4 is defended.
Safely guard c4. I like that idea a lot.
Yeah, and rook c3, okay, that's also perfectly fine. c4 is well defended. Now the king can come in to f2 and either to e3, and the bishop can go to c2. Just playing slow chess. There's no rush necessary.
I agree. I think Kleinman came to play here, and that's sometimes the advantage, as you said, the international master versus grandmaster battle. Everyone knows that grandmasters are the stronger players. They have accomplished more in that chess career, but the difference can be small in different matchups, especially in short time controls. And if the IM comes with a little more of a chip on his shoulder than the GM does, sometimes you're going to see more upsets than you would expect. So I like Kleinman's chances here. Let's move on to the next big game that's going to happen, because really, if Miami's not going to get wins on their top boards with Quesada and Iturrizaga taking on Kleinman, then they better get something here from their FM. But he's going up against Saric, he's looking to get on the grind. Look at Saric. This is 2 knights there. You're going to double rooks on the D file, even though it's one of those positions that seems kind of tame, everybody, at first glance. Not a lot of pieces on the board. All the pieces that are on the board, every one of them favors black. More active knight versus less active knight. Better knight versus knight, right? You've got more pawn weaknesses here for white, and so I really like Saric's chances to outplay his opponent.
I would say structurally it's already won for black, and that sounds like, what are you talking about? Everything's level.
It's because you always have to one-up everything I say. I just said black was better, and you had to one-up it and say that the structure is already lost.
I couldn't do anything without you. I'm standing on your shoulders, so thank you for lifting me up to more than I can be. So the point being that at some point black is going to b5, which is going to try to create an outside passed pawn. For all you watching, this is essential in endgame. Having an outside passed pawn, because it means the king has a farther distance to travel to try to blockade it. So I would have went b5 before h6. I don't like h6 particularly. And if you'd gone b5 last move, and if you go a takes b5, c takes b5, look at that a pawn. It's just going to go to a4 next. And okay, after king f1, the pawn can definitely go to b5 now. So I think black has very good chance.
Admittedly, Robert, I forgot to bring my jingle to the show today as I was producing it and preparing it, the jingle of Teaching Moments by Bobby Hess that one of our fans made. But seriously, everybody, if you're wondering where the education's coming from, it's coming from that man right there, because this is actually a really instructive point about b5. A lot of people look at these structures and they say, well, both sides have 3 pawns, Robert. It's just a bunch of equality. The truth is, it's just not the case at all, right? White's pawns, having already pushed forward just a little bit, make them harder to defend, which is why a move like rook c1 had to be played by white to begin with. And then, as you point out with b5, I love this because it shows that black has a grip on the structure even though it's equal. Because what are white's choices? Let you take and win, or take and give you this 2-on-1 majority that's suddenly happening on the A file. So when you look at these structures, everybody, don't just assume equality and that there's not a lot going on here. This is a position that black is in complete control, which really is putting the Chessbrahs in control of this match. Let's move on to the last board, Robert, that we talked about. John Ludwig maybe missing his chances to jump out quickly. And right now, it's not looking great. I'm not even sure Rainier is going to have to win this game against Jan Ludwig for the Chessbrahs to get the match. But I don't think black is in any danger of losing this one.
Oh, black's in great shape. And again, it comes down to the pawns. Look at the rook on c8. It's barreling down to the pawn on c3. On the other hand, the white rook on e1 is hitting a very well-defended e6 square. So just the quality of the pieces. The rook on c8 is hitting a pawn. The rook on e1 is staring into a brick wall. And now look at the move rook d1. The idea is to eventually play c4 and keep the pawn on d4 protected. However, if I'd be playing with the black pieces here, make a move like bishop to e4, bishop to c6, you're still going to have a very hard time playing c4 because then the other rook swings to d8, and I'm just putting a lot of pressure on the center. So not a favorable position for white, that's for sure.
And if you look at the time on the clock, Miami also down there as well. I believe we have another matchup getting started. So let's go ahead and we'll check back, of course, and stay tuned with the Chessbrah matchup. But the next match that is underway here between the Pittsburgh Pawn Grabbers and the, I'm sorry it escaped me, Buenos Aires Krakens. Here we have Grandmaster Krisa versus a Wonder Liang, also a newly minted Grandmaster. What do you see going on here?
Well, for Pittsburgh, again, it's the debut of a Wonder Liang, and that's
It's a
obviously
wonder he didn't play in the league last year.
oh, I don't like you anymore.
It's
I was
it's a
weird.
wonder that he may get this game.
It's a wonder that says "I am a Wonder Liang" next to his name when that is very clearly a grandmaster playing in this one.
Touche,
So
touche. Okay, so yeah,
anyway,
continue.
with the black pieces, look at this bishop on f4, right? It's
Yep,
staring down the knight on d6 and the pawn on h6. That
yep.
said, if you don't do anything, the h6 pawn just falls. So you probably have to make a move like g5, which if you're at home, it's not a move you tend to like to play because it
Yep.
exposes your king side. However, here with the white knight on f3 and that bishop on e4 being a very strong piece, g5 is perfectly safe. There's not a good way for white to take advantage of it. So, for example, if you're g5, the only way to keep the bishop on its diagonal attacking the knight is go bishop e5 and offering a trade. But after g5, bishop e5, queen e7, well, that queen is doing very well to defend the king side. And eventually, you can even play g4 and actually start thinking about an attack on the king side. So I think g5 is the only move because every other move runs into knight b5. For example, knight c5 looks natural, but then knight b5 is really annoying. And so, yeah, g5 looks like a strong resource from Black's point of view, and I don't know what he's thinking about besides that.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Although it is just mainly probably the last thing you mentioned. I think knight to b5 is coming for white, and so maybe he's calculating. He didn't want to play g5 as you first said. A little risky, opens up the king. Wanted to be able to justify this move. Is now realizing he can't really do the threats like knight to b5, and the noise is being brought into d6, right? So
yeah, the h6 is hanging. So all these things considered, it's just not a pleasant looking position if you don't go g5. And even after g5, I still think white is probably doing slightly better.
well, the next game, the next big matchup here is another Grandmaster on International Masterpiece of Action, although, as we said, Wonder Liang is actually a Grandmaster now. We have Alan Pichot versus Atulya Shetty. Here, the International Master has white. We have a couple of sets of double pawns, Robert's favorite positional weaknesses, in case you're wondering what to get him for Christmas next year. He loves them. What do you think about this one? I feel like Black is doing just fine, but so is white, I guess. White does have the e-file here. All things being considered, pretty close to equality. What's your take here?
So when you see double pawns, you often think, I'm just going to leave those double pawns on the board because, well, they can't create passed pawns as easily, and they're often weaknesses because they can't protect each other well. That said, when I see this position from white's point of view, I think, well, maybe I can go b4 and then b5. And the point being is not to undouble black's pawns. I mean, that generally favors the side with the double pawns. But the idea is to free up that d5 square for the white knight. Now, black is definitely never going to take that knight with the bishop because then that long diagonal is just disastrous and white will checkmate black. So b4 to b5 definitely something to keep an eye on as a way to free up that d5 square.
And I think it's exactly why he played rook to d2, trying to overprotect this bishop. Sometimes everybody, in order to create tactics, you have to prepare them first, right? You got to play a little bit of prophylaxis here, which is you protect a piece that is not exactly under fire because you want to put yourself in position to pounce with this pony when the time comes, whether it's into d5, as Robert said, or b5 or e4. So I like this move, rook to d2. I think Shetty's holding his own. Let's come back to it in just a second because the next game, oh wow, we got a lot underway right now. We've got your friend Young Lin, who is taking on Grandmaster Lequang Liam, I'm sorry, from the Webster Windmills. So we got a lot of moves being played quickly over there. The Montclair Sopranos versus Webster Windmills are underway. But I was looking for the next game in this matchup, although maybe it doesn't exactly matter here. Let's move on to wherever you want. We got our pick now, Robert. There's about every game we could want to watch is underway. We got Perez Ponce. That was the game I was looking for in the matchup between the Buenos Aires Krakens and the Pittsburgh Pawn Grabbers. So let's talk about this one real quick, and then we'll get to choose our poison.
Okay, Perez Ponce. Wow, this is hectic in the center.
Yeah.
The point being, bishop on d5 is never truly hanging, at least for the time being, because opening the e-file has disastrous consequences for black, right? That rook on e1 will just line up with the king on e8, and that's a check. You can't actually block it without losing material. So from white's point of view, you know that bishop is not going to be taken. However, that queen on c3 is a really annoying piece because you can't go rook b3 because the knight's on c5 now. The pawn on b7 is defended by the bishop and knight. And so the only way to really kick it is rook e3 because bishop d2 hangs the knight on d4. So rook e3 would be a way to kick it, but then queen a5, and actually the queen will go back into the defense, which is necessary. And immediately, Danny, I think this is a very vital point, is that I don't see an immediate knockout from White's perspective, right? That's what you want to do is, okay, I sacrifice some material. Black is now up a pawn. I need to find a knockout blow.
Yep.
You don't see it. You want to make a move like knight to f5, and it's something that always has to be considered. As I mentioned, opening the opening the e file could have grave consequences. So knight f5 looks like a good move, but maybe, just maybe, Black can ignore it and play like h6 and just somehow stay alive. And I mean, I don't know. H6 looks terrible because the bishop goes to f4 now, hitting d6. So
yeah, it looks like one of those. It wasn't a Smith-Morra, although almost close to it. But it looks like one of those Smith-Morras where White. It looks dangerous, but Black doesn't have to take any of these pieces. He doesn't have to take the bishop on d5. He doesn't have to take the knight on f5, right? Black can play h6 and then maybe bishop e7 if the bishop backs up and get castled. And it's one of those positions where, like you said, White is down a little bit of material, but needs Black to take more material in order to get play. But Black's not going to bite, right? Black's not going to take that material and give White more counterplay. So something about me also kind of smells a rat. I don't really know that White's going to have all the compensation that he needs here. And now with time pressure already setting in, reminds me I want to go right back to the Amon Hamilton game, because speaking of a game that's getting under time pressure, we already have Quesada under 3 minutes. Let's bump back to that one real quick, because it will be the first match that finishes here in our portion between the Chessbrahs and the champions.
All right, so Amon Hamilton, the white pieces. Material is level. At first, I thought Black was up a pawn, and then I saw the pawn in a2. So material is equal. The pawn structure has changed, where White has an isolated d pawn, but the quality of the pieces certainly favor White. So I think White is better here for sure. And the problem for Black is you're a little bit stuck. The bishop on d7 is a passive piece. You would love to go to b5, but currently your knight on f5 is hanging. You certainly do not want to play g6, because after d5, yes, your bishop on a7 may see some daylight and attack the pawn f2, but that bishop on b2 is a real monster if you go d6. So what other moves are in play here? I mean, c6 was just played, but now isn't that hanging a pawn after bishop takes c6, bishop c6, queen f5? Maybe you don't want to give up that bishop because of the weak light squares, but you have to keep that in mind. Another move to play from White's point of view is, what about d5? Because after d5, if you capture, you're left... I can take with a knight on d5 and hop towards the center. If you go c5 after d5, then you're left with this really cruddy bishop over there on a7, and knight e6 from White's perspective looks like a nice tactical shot. So
I would love that. Yep.
Oof, I mean, d5 looks great. I think Amon is doing very well here, playing excellent chess.
Yeah, he is. And with time and the experience that we know Amon has playing on Chess.com, he definitely seems to be the favorite here. So if the Chessbrahs take this one, a big game is proving more and more to be, this one here between Kleinman and Iturrizaga, where Kleinman won a pawn early in the Maroczy bind, but material has not only leveled out, suddenly Black's pieces have come to life here, and you've got rooks on the first, a knight coming into d3, and with look at the time pressure. Yeah, exactly. Kleinman, something went wrong here, and I'm not sure exactly where it did, but this is going to be a big comeback victory for the champions.
Well, I'm not sure actually Black is going to... Okay, well, I don't like king e3. So I was going to say, you put your king on g3, that way it's out of not being in the open. The king on e3 will always give Black these important tempy moves like rook a3 check, and I just think the king was much safer on g3. That said, this is actually a very difficult game to put away, because White is so active, and at some point, White may even be able to sacrifice an exchange because there aren't that many pawns left, and maybe if you can sacrifice an exchange for a pawn, try to set up a fortress. But yeah, you're right, Danny. This is not... that's not a good move, I feel like. I mean, it's like the king on e3.
Well, and the biggest issue is, look at this rook here. Is he one move away from losing his rook? I feel like king f6 is calling my name, or king f8 even, to avoid the knight d5 check.
You're right. You're right.
No, I mean, the issue with g4 is, you could tell it's one of those instinctive blitz moves, right? We know the Chessbrahs are good at blitz. It's what they do for a living online, but that's a move where you literally just force that bishop exactly where it was intending to go, which was to trap this rook on e7. And I think that Black is going to go on to win this game now, because that rook on e7 has run out of squares.
That's all she wrote. Well, now you take. I was going to say, take with the d rook and then take on b7, but it's
right. There's too many. It's a position where it's not even that you have a pawn for the exchange. The rooks are probably going to get active very quickly. Rook d8 check, although there is knight to d5. So let's see. So White has
knight d4 though. Just start with knight d4,
or even knight c5 here. I was wondering, but yeah, no, knight to d4 looks good, hitting both the bishop and the pawn on f3. So really what that does is keep the match close, though, because if Iturrizaga does what he's supposed to do, that's all he did, was he did what he was supposed to do, and the Chessbrahs still looked good on the other boards, which we're going to go check out here in just a sec. Okay. After that hangs there, we're gonna.
Well, Amon Hamilton did get that D5 96 stuff in, so this is trouble for Unieski Quesada. I think Amon is going to win.
Look at you calling a combination. Can we give Robert a golf clap in the Twitch chat, please, everybody? Let's give Robert a golf clap there.
I occasionally find good moves. I'm trying to speed through some of these games because there's not.
I'll give you a smiley Danny, in the emote chat. Yeah, no, this is that was a nice combo by you.
Okay, so Michael Kleinman is just about lost. He's like 2 seconds, and he did lose the game. That's officially done. Okay. We see Amon's game doing very well. Who else is on this team?
We had the game going on between Corey Aker and Ivan Saric. That was a big one because, wow, almost the opposite has happened here. Corey Aker is holding his own. Saric seems to be in control with having the first rook that somehow weaseled his way into the opponent's camp. But this isn't so simple, right? I mean, if the rook goes to c3 or h3, I think that Aker is defending with rook to d3. But no, actually, this looks more and more like white is going to have a hard time.
This is a draw now. c5 was a mistake because now rook d1, you follow the rook forever. Rook d1, rook d2, rook d3, you can't move your rook away. So c5 was imprecise. You should have started with rook to b1. That ties the rook down to d3 from white. Mm-hmm. And after that, you can move your rook freely because now rook d1, okay, he went rook d8. But what I was saying was rook d1, you're forced to trade rooks. And now, at least from my point of view, sitting here, it looks like there's no infiltration possibilities. And now, again, it's a draw.
Yeah, it looks like it would have been a draw. Maybe black had some sort of f5 or f6 breakthrough, but I don't think so. And now it looks like white has kind of figured that out. If Aker holds a draw here against Saric, that's a huge game for the Miami champions to stay even in this one. The other game, not this one here. This is the other matchup. Bringing up the final game. I was attempting to. No, the other game is already over, right? Between
Kleinman, yeah, that game is over. So
that game was over.
Should we hop over to the other match going on between the Pawn Grabbers and the Krakens?
Okay, what game you want to start with here?
We haven't looked at Shabba Ding Dong's game. That's Alexander Shaballov, and Danny came up with it.
Shabba Ding Dong. Super Bliss. Super Bliss with the awesome avatar, the blue hair. I'm pretty sure that was from a chess tournament in Vegas there by Shabba, although I don't know if anyone's keeping track of how many times Shabba's been to Vegas. But, all right, he looks like he's in control here. He's got a couple pieces for the rook, and he's about to gobble up that c2 pawn. Looks like black is doing well.
Well, don't gobble up that c2 pawn unless you want to get mated on the back rank, because rook a8 check followed by bishop h6 is going to be a problem.
I was testing you, Robert. Yeah, you passed.
I'm glad I passed that
barely,
one.
Barely.
That game is more or less done with, though, with the two pieces. As long as Shabba doesn't blunder, he's putting that one away. The game between Federico Perez Ponsa and I have no idea who he's playing because it just says Smabai, whatever. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's Edward Song, I want to say.
Okay,
so that's getting hectic because knight f5 was indeed played and black ignored it. But all of a sudden,
just as we said, yeah. But now d6 is under fire, yeah.
Exactly. d6 is under fire. That rook can swing to g3 at any moment to put pressure on the g7 pawn. So e5 might be necessary, but if you just ignore it with bishop g3 and then later play f4 and just continue breaking open and chiseling away at that black center, I don't know how black is going to castle.
Well, maybe one of the ideas, though, after bishop g3 is he might just part with the bishop pair on f5. And you could almost look to turn the tables with bishop e7, kind of give back the b7 pawn just to get... Although that would be very dangerous, if the rook came to the 7th ring. So what if he takes f5 and then plays queen to c7 maybe to defend everything? I guess I'm biased toward any position where black is up a pawn.
You are like an engine, sir.
Yeah.
But okay, that game is looking very complicated still. Wonder Liang with the black pieces. He is playing Leandro Krisa. He feels disrespected by saying international master next to his name.
Yep.
And so he decided to play some very good chess. Now with the black pieces, I'd mentioned g5 earlier. That did happen. And look at the knight on d5. It's generally speaking a great square for the piece, but actually it can get in a bit of trouble. Note that it has no real escape squares because the only free square for the moment is knight b4, but then you trade queens and the knight on b4 is hanging. So actually there are no safe squares at the moment. And black, on the other hand, can consider going knight c5 and trying to dislodge the protection, then bring that knight to e4. And if you have to capture on e4 with that bishop after f takes e4, you're in a world of hurt. So
yeah, that f-file is a problem.
Queen a3 or something like that is necessary for white just to get out of that pin and then go knight b4 next, just to sort of attempt to bring that knight back into the main portion of the game. But still, I think black is doing very well.
Yeah, I like black as well. And if white doesn't go for this queen a3 idea, black could even consider maybe just doubling rooks on the d file too to go after the knight. But wow, e4. That's white saying he doesn't want to sit around and protect the knight. He wants to open up the light squares and take advantage of this king on h7. But yeah, knight c5 looks simply good.
Well, now if you go queen c2, you go d3 from black. And if you go rook takes d3, you can probably go f takes e4 there and just ignore the exchange. You could take the exchange on d3, or maybe even f takes e4 is possible as well.
Yeah.
So looking very bad.
It would be very, very straightforward here for black. I wonder Liang played knight c5 really quickly, so I'm wondering what Krisa is thinking here, but he's about to get in a bit of trouble. So where does that put us in terms of the standings? We have another result in the book, clearly, between the Miami champions and the Chessbrahs, and that was that Amon Hamilton won, eventually winning on time, but really it was over on the board. We'll back this thing up and show you the final few moments. Robert called this amazing knight to e6 combination right here, everybody. Really some sexy stuff right there from the man with the beard, formerly the beardless one. Okay, white goes to work here with the light square bishop and eventually finds a nice threat of h7 mate. Black has to trade queens to stop it.
Yep.
And eventually we get a blunder with rook takes d4. Yeah.
And Ivan Starich won his game, so he won a game. What team is he playing for? The Chessbrahs, right? So
yeah, so that really puts the Chessbrahs in control of that match. They're up 2-1 with Sarich having come back there and win this rook ending that we thought was going to be a draw. So where is the final game taking place right now between the Chessbrahs and the champions? We have Shaballov still going to work over here. I feel like this could be a Shaba mate like no other. There's a couple of knights against the white king. Something's just feeling nasty here, right? There's e3, there's g3. I mean, knight takes g3 here is just winning on the spot.
Yep. No, this is hopeless for white. But let's go into the match we haven't seen yet, Danny, between the Montclair Sopranos and the St. Louis Archbishops.
Okay.
Or is it the Webster Windmills? Which are they playing? They're playing Webster.
Yeah, we've got Mark Arnold taking on Grandmaster Duribali.
Yeah, and that's an interesting battle because look at the material. Black is up a pawn, and normally, white encourages black to take on the a file, right? B takes a4 type of maneuver. But if white doesn't win that pawn back, that's going to be very annoying to deal with especially because the rook on b8 is aiming straight down at that pawn on b2. So let's say, for argument's sake, the knight went to e1 and then I played bishop takes a4. I had two moves. You're going to end up losing the b pawn in the process, and that's not favorable for white at all. So black is doing very well here. Mark Arnold, who does not play much over the board chess these days, a good friend of mine. We grew up together. He's from New York as well. He's playing some great chess against the Azeri player who plays for Webster Windmills. I think we can move on to Alex Lenderman's game. And Lenderman has the black pieces against Talia Cervantes Landero. And Talia Cervantes is a young player. I believe she's around 14 years old, who lives in St. Louis, has been doing some kind of understudying at Webster. And she's grown a lot as a player, really getting much, much stronger. And look at her position with the white pieces now.
She's down.
I was going to say she's down a pawn, but she's not even down a pawn. And it's going to be a bit annoying if black keeps the tension with bishop b5 and keeping pressure on this knight on e2. But also, after bishop b5, the rook can go over to, say, a1. Knight c3 is a threat, so you have to go rook f to c8. But it's not clear. Well, I guess bishop f8 is coming after that. So it looks like black is much better. But considering she's 21-10 and playing against Alex Lenderman, whose current FIDE rating is 26 plus, he's gained a lot of points since the official ratings were used for the Pro Chess League. Black is in good shape, but white is performing quite admirably. And who else is in that match? There's Yuan Ling Yuan with the white pieces against Le Quang Liem. And that game is quite level, Danny.
Yeah, she played a classical Caro-Kann. I saw that one get going quickly, almost inadvertently, but we come back to it now, and it looks like Le Quang Liem probably happy with a super solid Caro-Kann, given that, the first game of the Pro Chess League, he wants to really make sure he doesn't fall prey to an upset against the Canadian Women's International Master. But you got to be happy, right? if you're Yan Lin, because White is not really in danger of losing this position, at least not right now.
Right, and the only real danger is, let's say all the pieces got traded, knights and rooks immediately. Then the king is coming to c6 and maybe d5 very quickly. And actually, with a pair of rooks on the board, having your pawn h5 and e5, those pawns can be overextended because they're easier to attack, generally speaking. That said, at the current moment, that rook on d3 can always swing to g3 or f3, and so White can go a3 just to make sure there's no knight b4 funny business. Put that rook, go rook g3, rook h3, rook g3, rook h3. Even bring the other rook over to h1 to bring that up to h4, h3 to bring to the g or to the g file as well. So, alternatively, you can play rook d1, the e rook to d1, and go knight. Try to trade rooks. So I think White is doing very well here and should be able to hold a draw with proper play. But again, time will tell the tale. And the last but not least, we have Pascal Charbonneau with the white pieces against Alexander Shaballov. Danny, I don't know if you remember last year, but Pascal was just a monster in a lot of games. He actually had Fabiano Caruana mated by force and then somehow blundered like 3 or 4 moves in a row and then lost that game. But
Pascal's a monster in general when it comes to online chess. For those of you who've been following the Pro Chess League and its former form, the U.S. Chess League, which was around for years with a much longer time control, played on both ICC and Chess.com. But Pascal is he's a well-known commodity in terms of taking online chess seriously. He also does CrossFit regularly, so I'm going to give a shout-out to that. I mean, come on. Hey. You know what the first rule of CrossFit is, right? Always talk about CrossFit. But yeah, no, Pascal is a very strong player, now living in New York. You and I just saw him last summer at the event there at the Players Tribune. But all right, well, he's better here. I mean, Shamanov is a young guy playing for the Webster Windmills like everybody else who's going to school there, but Pascal is in control of this one. At some point, a piece is going to land on d5, and that e4 pawn might become a target.
Yeah, and Danny, sorry to cut you off here, but let's go to Pittsburgh and let's see. Let's not actually go to the city of Pittsburgh, but let's go to the Pittsburgh match.
Okay.
And Federico Perez Ponza versus, again, we got to get the real name on this guy, but whoever that is with the white pieces now solidified his bishop on d5.
Sorry, just had to show the end of how Shaba just broke through there. He played knight takes g3, he took on e3, and then things got weird on the light squares. That is Shaba chess right there, everybody. You are welcome. Okay, sorry. Federico Ponza, he does get castled, but yeah, so how is this transition? White has a dominant piece on d5. That's nice.
That's a beautiful bishop, and it's really it just serves as a big pawn essentially, but it's a pawn that defends its pawns on e4 and c4 and can always take on e6 because the bishop can't move anywhere. So now if you take on d5 from black, c takes d5, you have a passed pawn, a protected passed pawn with no real pawn weaknesses because the pawn a2 is quite difficult to get to. You take a lot of time to get there. So really nice looking position from White, and it's worth noting that right now, Wonder Liang with the black pieces is about to finish off Leandro Crisa. He has 2 pieces for the rook. Well, I shouldn't say about to finish off, but he is clearly much better with the 2 minor pieces for the rooks. However, if he's not careful, if he doesn't put his opponent away, it's definitely feasible for those rooks to get active and maybe get some drawing chances. But Pittsburgh leading.
But I agree, and it looks like that's going to be hard, mainly because the likeliness of a mating net against the white king with black sort of holding all of these squares is probably too high for White to really expect. Although this move is not bad if you're talking about getting out of the mating net. White might try to play a move like rook c8 now just to get the rooks off the board. But okay, but then you'd have risk with the f pawn, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Bishop d4 is nice because then knight d2 comes in with check, and then f2 follows. But now bishop e3 is possible. Okay, the bishop c5.
Bishop c5, yeah. Just putting the minor pieces in not only their most effective position against the white king, everybody, but also closing off the rooks along these open files. Good technique. It's a wonder is display of technique. Okay, moving on.
I see what you did there.
Moving on.
Also, Edward. It is Edward's song, right? I don't want to keep saying the wrong person, so I'm going to check that very quickly.
Well, remember, with Shaba already getting that nice mate for Pittsburgh, and then having drawn, they are on their way to winning round 1, at least, as far as their matchup against the Buenos Aires Krakens, because they're up 1.5 to 0.5 right now, and if a Wonder wins this game, then they've secured a kind of a first-round victory here. So,
and Edward's song has just a couple seconds left, but he is defending well in this 2-rook and bishop ending. Where
I'm sorry, I'm looking for that game again. I left it behind.
Mobai versus Genghis K.
Yep, there it is.
And so that looks like it should be a draw because, I mean, if white just moves back and forth, I don't see how black is making progress. However, black is up a lot of time, and if anyone has winning chances on the board, it should be black as well, just because you can.
Yeah, well, Ponza needs this game to keep the match from. You don't want to fall down 3-1. I guess okay. A lot of games left to be played. Everybody, for just joining us, thanks for being here. It's the Pro Chess League. This is the third segment of the day with the Atlantic Division really just getting underway. So don't go anywhere.
Should we hop on over to our boy Johnny Bartholomew?
JB. Finzo 9 taking on Darius Schweiss, and this is going to be a good one. What do we got here? We got John Bartholomew, as you said, just narrowly missed out on a GM norm, but he's not going to give up on that mission quickly. And right now although at first I wanted to say with the weak isolated pawn, I like white positionally, but the more I looked at the position, it feels like black's pieces are active enough, and with access to all of these critical squares, I'm not really against black's position here. I think he's done well here against JB.
Yeah, it looks nice optically, right? Because an isolated pawn on d5 that's blockaded, as Aaron Nimzovich would be very proud. Mm-hmm. But it's very difficult to attack it. A knight's coming into e4 in not too distant future, and the control over the a file is definitely enough compensation to hold the equality. So JB, his position is fine, but not more than that. And his teammate Sean Nagel with the white pieces against Vladimir Fedoseev. Remember, Fedoseev is a name we want to keep an eye on throughout the season. Very strong player, as you can see just by the rating next to his name. And he has the black pieces. So clearly in the opening, something took on f6, and black took back with the pawn f6. The bishop went to g5 and took on f6, and he took back with the e-pawn. So we see an imbalance. 2 bishops for black, 2 knights for white. Now, the knights don't really have anywhere to go, at least for the time being, because that pawn on b6 closes off that important c5 square. You can't go move the knight on d2, at least because then knight d6 goes to c4, which is quite a nuisance. So I think black is better here. White is still, there are no real tremendous weaknesses in white's camp, but black is to be preferred, though this rook trade, double rook trade here, I think should be enough to try to maintain equality from for white.
Yeah, and the problem, I guess, if you're Fedoseev, is you really want to win this game, right? I mean, the IMs against it's 3 IMs on 3 GM action in every round, and the GMs, sometimes that psychologically can play against them, right? Because they're really in a position where, despite what the cards may have dealt, you want the cards to tell you you're winning, and you can continue to push for a win. And so if Nagel is solid and holds his ground, doesn't get under time pressure, as he's doing a good job of right now, 10 minutes to 6 minutes, he should be okay. So where's the other GM on IM action as far as this particular matchup is concerned? We've got Yaroslav Zarabuk taking on Daniel Gurevich over here in a funky monkey game. We got knight d5 coming in. We got a couple of double d pawns.
Away here, but the Pittsburgh games both have 5 seconds left.
Where are we at? I see it. A Wonder Liang is against Krisa. He's blown the mating net.
He's definitely blown the mating net, but he might see himself with 2 minor pieces against the king, and that is winning with the 2 minor pieces.
And
but now
he should still be winning here.
I don't know. Those white pawns are coming pretty fast.
He's got b3 on the next move because of knight d2 check. We'll see if he sees it.
Well, now he's trying to go bishop b6 and cut the rook off, but now h5, exactly. That pawn is coming faster.
Yeah, white's pawns are much faster than black's suddenly, and he's in big trouble. A Wonder Liang has let this one escape.
Well, so he's going to go bishop d4, but now you can queen, and the rook comes back to h1, right? So
yeah, obviously at this point, but did Kreese just lose on? Oh, Kreese almost just lost on time there. Look at the increment. He's riding on the increment, and he loses on time. He lost on time.
That is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Well, with only a 2-second increment, you can't really afford to get down to that kind of to scare, and he just lost track of his. Wow. Not the way we expected a Wonder Liang to win this game, given that he was completely dominating earlier. But wowzers, that was quite the finish.
And a Wonder's teammate, Edward Song, with the white pieces, is down a pawn, rook and pawn versus rook and 2, and has 12 seconds left. But seems to be defending pretty well, though now actually it's just over.
And it seems so officially Pittsburgh will get away with a first round victory here, though. Remember, the Pro Chess League format, everybody, is Rapid Chess. Pro stands for Professional Rapid Online, and it is 15 minutes with a 2-second increment. I see some questions in the Twitch chat now. And it's an all-play, all format. One of the coolest things about it is If you're playing a team like that has Magnus Carlsen, everybody plays everybody.
Wow, sorry to interrupt, but Edward Song found a wonderful drawing resource.
Yeah, I'm on that game, and it's the point. Everybody is, despite him having 2 pawns, Ponza can't find a safe area for the king to hide from checks.
Well, he just blundered. Rook A4 check was the wrong square. He should have went Rook F5 check.
Oh, the stalemate.
Would have forced the king to E3, and then he could have taken it on G5.
Oh, disgusting! Everybody, king takes F5 would have been stalemate.
Still do it, right? Can he? What's wrong with Rook takes G5?
Oh, but now, this is still a draw, I think.
Well, why is it a draw? So Rook A7.
And then
now it's
now it's not a draw for sure, isn't it?
Yeah. Wait, actually, because the king is cut off, right? So that always makes the life difficult. Where if you have to go G4, then Rook A4. All right, the king's getting
now he's figured it out. Now he's got check, and the king can't block the pawns because it's mate. So now black is winning. Rook G3 followed by or Rook H3.
Yeah, the king.
Yeah, no, there was a draw there with the crazy stalemate rook sack.
Wow. All right. Well, that's a missed opportunity for sure. But we're getting in time trouble in many other games as well. So it's getting really interesting. We can hop on back over to Yuan Ling Yuan with the white pieces against Lequang Liem.
Let's do it.
He has 2.5 minutes.
She's working her Kramnik right now. She's working her Kramnik right now. No, she really is. She's on the positional grind, everybody. This is a grip structure where white has a positional advantage, similar to the theme when we had Bobby Hess's first teaching moment of the day. And there she goes, Robert. I was just going to highlight G5 is coming, and the point is that if black sits everybody, white can take it, and then you've got weaknesses and infiltration. And if black takes it, white gets this 2-on-1 majority. So Yang Ling is... She's doing her thing. I like it. Wait, is that a knight that's going to get trapped? What about Rook G3?
Rook G3, Rook D4, and white can never lose that position.
I was going to say go for it anyway.
Right, Rook G3, Rook D4, Rook takes G4, Rook takes E4, GH6, GH6, and then just move your king up.
King D2, King D3, and white's going to infiltrate first for sure.
Yeah, or start with pawn C4. There's no way for that black king to get into the action. So that should be an immediate draw. So Yuan Ling Yuan playing very well right now, but we're going to have to move on from her game to, let's say, where should we go?
Well, there's so many options. Eventually, by the way, Ponza did get this game against Edward Song. So a weird back and forth match there starting between the Buenos Aires Krakens and the Pittsburgh Pawn Grabbers. We'll see if that continues.
I want to talk about a position and never talk about it again. Ivan Saric with the white pieces against John Ludwig with black. That game just started, and we're not going to look at it the rest of the way, unfortunately, because look at black's position.
Yeah, that's a problem. It's a problem when you have so much space, and, well, it's a good thing for Saric, but black is, I mean, at this, black should maybe bring the bishop out now, but then it might get stuck to A8. Who knows? The problems here will be bountiful. They will be many. But as far as the Chessbrahs matchup, against the Miami champions. Really, this one here, Hamilton and Iturrizaga. Hamilton won his first game, everybody, if you're just joining us for the Chessbrahs, and doing okay here as black against Iturrizaga. I think he's doing just fine.
Oh, certainly. And you tend not to like knights on the side of the board, but look at both sides ignoring typical chess principles. That knight on A3, the knight on H6. The knight on H6, well, wait, can white go knight takes D4 here?
Bueller?
Isn't it just a pawn?
That's a pawn.
What's going on?
It's a pawn unless he's sacking it.
He could be sagging because after knight D4,
C5, yeah.
And black's taking over the dark squares, and that's still going to be a backwards pawn. But I don't think you really, I don't know, maybe it was planned, but it looks like Amanda spent time, so I don't think this was intentional.
Yeah, it always a telling. But speaking of time, let's go back to Arnold's game versus Durabali, because
ooh, he's giving him the business right now.
He is. He's taking it to him. He's down on time, but Marcus played himself under time pressure before and held his own. So right now he's got control over the C file and the first rank, looking to simplify so that he can really use this extra D pawn and just run it up the board, everybody. Bishop A4 is a nice move. I like it.
And on the next board over, Pascal Charbonneau with the white pieces is about to bring home the full point against Alexander Shaballov.
I told you Pascal came to play. It's the CrossFit. It's the CrossFit. I mean, shameless plug.
Pascal's one of the greatest people I've ever met, and he's a phenomenal chess player. But look what's going on here. There's a passed D pawn. White is up a pawn. And now they move knight E6, hitting the bishop on G7. Okay, queen E6 is just as good. But my point was going to be that the knight on E5 is losing its protection because queen's cut off. Yep. And now after queen E6, knight E6, I mean, what is black doing here? E4 will fall.
He's resigning. Shimonov has problems.
Yeah, because knight e to d7, knight takes g7,
Just
followed by
takes
bishop
g7
takes
and
e4.
bishop takes e4. Two pawns
That's,
are better than one, and okay, it's
and those
time
are
pressure
props.
city, so you never know. But right now, it's time pressure worse for
Although
Shaballov. So
bishop h3 might even win a piece because you might be able to take on d7 before knight takes g7. But whatever, bishop
yeah,
takes e4.
okay, you
That's
can
all.
even play knight to d5 first if you want. I think that e-pawn's going anywhere. Okay, he decides
And,
to take it.
and Yuan Ling is in a rook ending. So this is not Montreal, excuse me, the
Uh-oh.
Montclair versus Webster matchup, and white is equal. Rook back to
No, but
h.
it's a rook ending that I feel like now black is the one playing for a win.
Yeah, I don't like Yuan Ling's choices in the last couple moves because it seems like she's unnecessarily gotten herself in trouble. That said, can white just go king c3, king c4, end up sacking the rook for the pawn?
You
Okay,
could.
this is
That's how you try to
not,
win for sure.
no, rook a6 is not right. That can't be right.
No, because she's not going to have enough time to get this pawn and get back behind the e-pawn, everybody. At some point,
Because
if
the
rook
rook is in perfect.
a5, e3, rook down, black's going to play rook e5 first and then march this pawn up the board.
But king d2 was imprecise, I think, because rook d6 check, then king c3. Now, what's going
Ooh.
on here?
Yeah, again, though, she should have done that. But I think Lequang Liam already has a bridge. He can play e2, rook d8, walk the king up, and eventually block with the rook on the e-file. Okay,
Yeah.
this also works. Similar.
Yeah. So okay, she had the game under control and then let it slip in time trouble. So we got to move on from her. Where do we want to move to? There's so many games going on.
No, a huge upset. What happened?
Oh.
Mark lost on time
And position.
and position. Things came unraveled there under time pressure. Just as I said, he handles himself well there. That puts, what does that do? It puts the Buenos Aires Krakens. It puts the Windmills back to being level with the Montclair Sopranos. And if Webster, if after Lequang Liam wins, yeah, so we have a lead for the Webster Windmills over the Montclair Sopranos. That's what we have. Let's go to John Bartholomew's game here.
Yeah, that Mark Arnold game was very fascinating. But let's look at our buddy Finn's Team Scandi. So Team Scandi, somehow he put a knight on c6. It's been taken by a bishop, and now the b6 pawn is likely going to fall. However, black can go g4 here, and it's getting really sharp very quickly. And actually, I think that favors black because the rook on e5 is very powerful and can always swing over to g5 or h5 depending on what's happening in the game. So g4, I mean, what do you do after g4, Danny? Do you take it? I wouldn't.
Well, there may be tactics on d5, I'm wondering, but perhaps there's not. There's also ideas like knight b5 coming to hit the queen and dislodge protection of the e5 rook. So I'm looking at Finn's chances for tactics, but I agree. g4 looks scary, and it's probably the type of thing that the Schweitz is calculating, and he goes for it. Shout out to Chess Bay answering all the fans' questions. Everybody, if you want to know more about the Pro Chess League, you can also go to ProChessLeague.com. Pretty much all the answers are there. But Chess Bay is amazing. She does deserve a raise. And thanks to everybody who's watching us at Chess TV and at Twitch TV/chess. Really appreciate it.
Danny, another upsetting performance. So not only did Mark lose, Yuan Ling lost, and Pascal only drew. So Montclair just threw themselves under the bus in this match. They should be up like 2.5 half, and so they're down 2.5 half. So not looking good for Montclair in the first round of the match. But let's check out, who have we not checked out in a while?
We've got a lot of other games that are still undergoing. You've got Shaballov, who's now taking on Krisa, the man who just flagged. So Shaballov with the white pieces could really kick a guy while he's down here if he's able to beat Krisa after Krisa just lost on time to Liang. What else? We have Ponsa taking on Shetty in an Alpha Zero style French there, with white losing his right to castle but launching an attack on the king side. First Alpha Zero reference of the day. You're welcome.
Hopefully the last. But Danny, don't you
last? Go ahead. What?
For white? Don't you love these positions for white where you may not be able to castle, but you don't need a castle. The rook wants to come to h3 anyway.
Don't get me started on how much I love positions against the French, because then you're going to get all the French lovers hating me, and things get weird and all that stuff. But I love white here.
I think the French is a terrible opening. And my good buddy Tatev Abrahamian, she loves it, she plays it, and I always make fun of it. So here, look how much space white has. Who cares if you can't castle? You have no weaknesses whatsoever. You can bring that rook to h4 now. You go pawn h6 and then bishop g5.
It's adorable. It is literally an adorable position, and it makes me warm and fuzzy when people destroy the French. So let's hope that Ponsa takes it to Shetty here, just for the sake of humanity, not because I'm rooting for the Krakens over the Pawn Grabbers. We've also got Alan Pichot taking on Edward Song in the a Lopez Italian kind of simple sort of e4 e5 structure there. I'm seeing some requests from the fans to check out Andrew Tang's game, so let's do that. The IM for the Blizzard taking on Duncan Shepherd. We haven't looked at it all, but looks like he's doing well here with Duncan Shepherd under a lot of time pressure.
Well, so he's newly minted GM Andrew Tang, same as Amon. Both have earned their final GM norms, and both are very popular names on Chess.com. But is he doing that well? I mean, his position is fine, but it looks about equal. And I didn't love Bishop D3. I was going to say Rook A1 just to go to the open file, but maybe the Rook on D1 is nicely placed. And now Knight E4. Yeah, no, whoever Duncan Shepherd. Wait, it says National Master, but 19. Oh, this is FIDE rating. So he's one of those players, I guess, that plays a lot of USCF rated games and not the classical games because his FIDE rating is so low.
Right.
And I have a text message, even though I shouldn't be looking at my phone, from Mark Arnold. I'm so bad. How did I not win? So that's the
best thing you can say is, yeah, you should have won that game. But all right, Mark, you can recover later, buddy. Well, Tang, you're right. It's not a super impressive position for Black, but I guess I was mainly looking at the clock and trusting in Andrew's ability to flag a man. He knows how to flag people, that's for sure.
It's such a hard position to actually win. If he's not flagging him, he's not winning.
That's true, and the increment's going to help White. All right, well, the other games going on between the Blizzard and the St. Louis Archbishops, as we said, Fedoseev taking on Sean Nagel. Fedoseev looks like he found a way to get counterplay in that super close position because now H2 is a problem, and I don't see how Nagel deals with it. Here comes the queen.
Yeah, problem might be understatement because queen H3 to G2 is also mating. So,
here comes the queen to H3 instead. Since White guarded that, probably Nagel resigns this one if I'm being totally honest. Although Bishop takes B5 sneakily guards the E2 square, so where's the win, right? Bishop B5, Queen G2, King moves. Where's Black's win?
Queen to C2 and then go F2 mate.
Ah, delicioso, Dora. Loves it. And he plays it. Did you see it on the board or did you call it?
I called it.
If we can get an instant replay in a clip, maybe, everybody. I want to see if Robert saw that before it was on the board.
I'm even looking at John Bartholomew's game because I was about to tell you to go there. In fact, John Bartholomew's king is now under direct threat because what Dariusz Swierz did was go G4 and then G3 and then G takes F2 check. And look at
Hold on, I was watching Fedoseev clean it up. I was watching him use the mop. Back, what were you saying here? You're saying Black is...
Look what's going on in this game.
Yeah, Schweich broke.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he broke through. This is getting really dangerous for JB.
And Danny, you and I both love Johnny B. But the one criticism I would say I generally see in his games is he's not so great when his king is under attack. Mm-hmm. And whether that's the direct threat, which is under now, or before when it was just kind of the potential of a threat.
When the whole thing started that we were talking about with G4, lines started to open up over here on the king side. Here came G3, and suddenly White is getting closer to real problems. Whether you like the king being under attack or not, sometimes you can defend it, but now there's going to be real concrete issues here. I think
Knight E4 check.
Knight E4 just looks awesome. Knight FE4, everybody, just to clear the F6 square for the queen. Okay, Schweich is taking his time, but this is looking really dangerous for White anyway.
Yep, but Johnny's teammate Andrew Tang ended up winning that game on time. So
as did I not call it? I said he would win on time. Didn't say it was winning. I said he would win on time.
You're a fortune teller. What can we say?
What can you say, right? Okay, let's go to the other one here between the bishops and excuse me, my brain is falling apart. The bishops and the Blizzard.
Who else is playing there?
I'm looking at Yaro's game. Cruel Yaro taking on Daniel Gurevich.
This looks Karpovian.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is Karpov-Kasparov, except problems here. Except Black is better instead, yeah.
Because Rook H8, right? I just go Rook H8, take on H4, and only Black can win this game. And now, for everyone watching, okay, well, I guess it doesn't...
Yeah, B2's falling, so that's also okay.
Yeah, so essentially the point is that you can't even protect B2, right? Because Rook B1, I go Bishop B3, Rook A2, lose the rook on the spot. But
you can do either one, yeah. Yep.
But now white gets to keep the H pawn. What I wanted to do for black was keep it's not symmetrical position, but at least like we don't have pawns on the opposite side of the board, because now white can push the pawn to H5 and use it as distraction. I think black is still much
I think black
better.
is still much better. The big issue with Daniel, and if we're talking about things we know about these players, Daniel gets himself under time pressure from time to time, so he needs to manage the situation closely. Now basically living off the increment there with just a few seconds. Time to just gobble the pawn and risk it, even with threats of check on c7, move the king. There's not really anything concrete.
Oh, that's the wrong way. H5 check.
H5 and knight check, and he loses on the spot. Just as I said, there's nothing concrete. It's like the commentator's curse. Yasser warned me about this.
Oh, no.
Yasser warned me about this. Oh, man. That is a heartbreaking loss there for Mr. Gurevich.
You know, I should be more empathetic, but I don't really feel that bad. But, you know, that was a – can we go to JB's game? Because there's 10 seconds.
You're getting cruel in your old age, Robert.
I know. Right, it's really –
here we go. It might just been because you were watching Cruel Yarrow get a victory, though. Maybe it was rubbing off. Okay. Whoa, JB might have just found some way. No tickle. No tickle happening.
I see what you wanted to do. You wanted to go knight f5 check.
You know I wanted knight f5, right?
But this looks pretty bad for Johnny, because
this
you're down in exchange and
your king
two pawns.
Is in just as much danger, if not more.
Exactly.
That's just a little tickle, everybody, there by Schweiss, recognizing the time pressure. Going to gain a little bit of time back on the clock. Here comes queen to b5 and game over. Rook e2 or queen b2. Choose your flavor.
Okay.
Queen e2 and then rook c4 was better, but at this point it doesn't matter.
Game over. There, he finally found a mate. So, okay, where are we jumping to now? Are we jumping to Amon Hambleton's game? Because he's black.
His name is Amon Hambleton. He is the Chessbrah Amon Hambleton.
Okay, I approve of that. Okay. So, Amon is attacking, that's for sure. But what's the material count?
And look at the time. He's also down to a minute. I mean, he's like how this feels? I mean, at first, if attacking the king is wrong here, I don't want to be right. Plus, we might have a girl on d3 here pretty soon. But
well, Denny, isn't white up? Firstly, white's up a piece. Okay, let's take that into account. White is up a full minor piece.
Schmeece.
No, I was going to agree with you, because that knight on a3 can't move.
Yep.
The knight on d2 is stuck just defending the king. The bishop on f3 is the same. So black's pieces are really coming into play. And the question is, what can white even do here? Right, you're kind of stuck. Can you get away with taking the pawn on b7 and just running the bishop back? I don't see immediate threats for black, and that's a terrible sign for Amon when you have a minute and 9 seconds left, right? Because when you've given up so much material, you need threat on threat on threat to keep the initiative going. So if bishop takes b7, and if your best move is, say, rook to b8, well, that's not a good sign. But after bishop b7, maybe you can ignore it and go queen takes f2 and start, gunning in for queen e2 check and bishop h6 ideas.
Well, there is a mate, though. Queen e2 check and then queen e1, sacking the queen. No, there's no mate. The queen comes back to d1. I missed it. Okay.
I was testing you and you passed.
Oh, man. That was almost a blunder. Thank God it's not my game. You're right, though. That's an instructive point, right? Because as bad as it looks optically for white, a piece is a piece is a piece, right? And the knights will eventually find coordination if Amon doesn't have something, which is why Iturrizaga's got to take his time here and calculate. But even if he settles on rook f1, Robert, where's Amon's next move to keep this fire lit?
Just bishop h6 probably.
Bishop h6, rook f1. You put your bishop here. Right, I dig it the most.
Oh, so rook b. I like that move, rook b3, because now you can bring your knight to b1 where it defends d2.
Very
that's
nice.
A great defensive move.
I like it as well.
However, Danny, your idea is now if you can get queen e2 check, there is queen e1 mate in this line, because the rook on b3 blocks the queen's access back to d1. So something now to keep in mind. But if bishop h6
should probably be played anyway, and if knight comes to b1, there is ideas of rook e2.
Exactly.
Yeah, just
Danny,
bring in the
I know
noise.
You love to attack, and you just got to sacrifice those pieces.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I'm just, this is like, it just like flows, right? It just like.
What else is flowing is Amon's clock. It's not 35 seconds, so that's not a good sign. So I would just.
But this is a big game right here for the Chessbrahs. The St. Louis Archbishops did take care of business there with the lone IM getting a victory for the Blizzard, being Andrew Tang, although he was playing the only low-rated guy there. So Tang's going to need to keep those victories up if the Blizzard are going to have a chance at a comeback.
Well, I just think that the board four is like an automatic point, whereas the other matches at least can go, Minnesota's way. But you're right, and as I said earlier, that they're just such a strong team. Webster is so,
Right.
or St. Louis, whatever.
Well, St. Louis really did well last year, if you remember, and we predicted this in the finals. It was because their board four wasn't an automatic point. They had Nicky Rosensalsa, right?
Yep.
And Rosensalsa being the young, underrated kid that he is, he managed to get some big victories. So,
Danny, I'm taking you to two places right now. First, let's go to tennis master versus that's Quesada versus Kleinman.
Yes, sir.
It is a very close position, but Kleinman again is on trouble on the clock.
Yep.
But he is a very good position with the black pieces. Everything is kind of stuck, and he's going to get in even more time trouble and probably lose this game. That's my prediction. But he is doing well to this point. And I want to go to Shaba's game. Sorry to jump around so much because this is going to make
you take me where
happy.
You want. I'm at your whims.
Oh,
Shaba! I told you, man. Shaba is a hop, skip, and a jumping away from being the MVP of any season. I swear. We know he's capable of that, right? He's the Latvian stallion, and
he should honestly be everyone's favorite player.
I know he could be. He's his own favorite player. That's how good he is. That's how good Shaballov is. It's like, hey, you like Shirov's fire on board? He's like Shaba for the win.
People know about Jabawa, they know about Ivanchuk, but Shaba is like them on steroids. He's just not as high rated. Probably because he's them on steroids that he is not as high.
No, Shabba Dabba Ding Dong is capable of many, many things, and I hope that he performs well this season so people can experience how we feel about him.
And sorry for all the Chessbrah fans. Amon Hamilton now looks like he has a terrible position on the board.
Yeah, it slipped.
He looks like me out there. 2.8 seconds left. The middle.
I didn't want to say it, but since you brought it up, we all prepared letters. We're here for your intervention about your time pressure. So everybody get your letters for Robert. We know it's time to talk. All right, okay.
So
the C4 and the A2 pawns might fall. I'm not going to call it just yet. Amon has been up against the wall before. If he could find a way to get both C4 and A2, then we're dealing with a lone B pawn, which as long as it remains blockaded, okay, there's chances. So Iturrizaga needs to make some accurate moves. There should be something accurate. Like, what is it? Is it Bishop D5 just to ensure that you keep the two passers, Robert? What is White's accurate move here that keeps him on down?
Maybe you want to go since you go. I was gonna say Rook B3. You essentially need to protect the B pawn. So by going Rook B3 and then allowing you to take on D2 and take on C4, I put my Rook on B2. I don't care about this A pawn as long as my king can then go to C3 and B4. So somehow A3, maybe that's a good move to kick that bishop away. Mm-hmm. And same principle. If you, I don't like it. I'm taking my idea back.
You're taking it back. You can't take back a triple stamp, Lloyd. You can't take back a triple stamp.
Well done. Very well done.
Actually, I think it's double stamp or triple stamp. Actually,
who's dumb and who's dumber? And who's dumber?
Between us, let's let the crowd vote. By the way, we did win the Chess Bromance vote over Aronian and MBL. So
it wasn't even a competition in my mind, so I didn't have to look.
All right. Well, seriously though, this is going to be rough. We do have a lot of other games going on. Who else have we not given love to? Mark Arnold is back on the horse, taking on Talia there. Ooh.
Yeah, this doesn't look great for black.
Yeah, this should be a quick victory for Mark to bounce back. This bishop is coming to the diagonal, and that's a problem. Who else? Lenderman going to try to avenge his fellow Soprano here, take on Durabali, who just beat Arnold.
Although I think that, who do I like here? So it's one of those, this comes from a Slav, right? And it's like opposite colored bishops, but white can expand the center with E4, E5, but black can do tickle with queen B4, knight C4. And it's like one of those really tough positions to actually evaluate. And, as you know, I hate using engines during analysis, so I have no idea who's better. I'm going with white just because I think the plans are easier to see with E4, E5.
But I feel like black is a little... Okay, but let's go back to this game here between Iturrizaga and Amon, because now... If anything, Amon's clock has gone the other way, and Iturrizaga now is going to feel what it is to play Amon Hamilton under time pressure.
Well, that was A3. I threw that move out there, so then I took it back, but I still said it. And so he gave up the A pawn, and now he's going to just try to protect the B pawn at all costs. Mm-hmm. What is Bishop D5? Now Bishop D5 comes without... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's under time pressure. He was trying to go after the F2 pawn, and he's... Bishop takes F7 is a problem here. We have nice problems. Okay.
That's a blue.
Oh, wow, we didn't see it. Or he decides...
Knight E4 is also...
Mm-hmm.
So now he can take on f7. Oh, but then it's c4 hangs.
No, but at the end of the line, it's with check. That's right. There's no knight d6 check fork. Yeah, okay. But Iturrizaga gets some credit for the technique here because he's not letting the attack break through.
Well, Iturrizaga versus Hamilton is the same as Quesada versus Kleinman, except Kleinman's position is equal, but he has, 8 seconds left to Quesada's mid.
Wrong game. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
That is, but Quesada might checkmate Kleinman because watch out for that king on f6. Both kings are in danger of getting mated. Rook f2 checkmated to the next threat.
Yep.
That's not checkmate. The king go to g4. I lied. So rook takes b7.
But it's close though. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of winners here. Only 5 seconds right now for Kleinman.
Who is better?
But we have to keep an eye over on Amon's game. Amon is.
Oh, now Iturizaga's in time trouble with 10 seconds. So, okay, but Iturizaga's completely winning if he doesn't blow this. And I think the key is just going. How does he end the game here? Any move, right? I feel like Black can't do anything.
Yeah, so he wants to get the knight. Oh, but Amon's going to trade. I was going to say he wants to get the knight to d5. That's what White wants, and then the game is lights out. But Amon is doing his best to keep threats up to prevent that knight from getting into d5.
Right. Okay, that's a good move. Rook to b1.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you can. Surprised by that. I thought he would move the bishop and again try for this knight to come to d5.
Where's this pony going? To
there
E5?
was actually a really nice move, Robert, instead of rook to d3 with the rook on b1 and the knight on c3. He could have played bishop g8 because the rook couldn't take it because b8 queen, and then he would not. And then he would have knight d5.
That's beautiful. Yeah, you're right. Oh, but this is okay.
Okay,
now
he found a way to break through anyway. Yeah.
So let's go away. Corey Acor, one of the black pieces over Renier Castellanos. So that's an upset in the Miami champions' favor. That's a 200-point rating upset.
Yeah, I'm looking for that game, but Amon unfortunately is going down in this one. So, and we already saw Andrew Ting take that game. Where is the Corey Acor game? I'm sorry, we got a lot of games going now. Trying to find that one.
And for the record, Michael Kleinman is a hero. He drew with the black pieces against Quesada with no time on his clock that whole game. Yep. He is 2357 international masters. Opponents at 2600 plus.
That's how the Chessbrahs get their victories too, right? And so with that, they maintain a full game lead. But I'm looking for the game where Corey Acor won.
I'm going to Shaba's game for a second. Shaba's up a million pieces and about to checkmate his opponent.
Can we just give every game of the week prize to Shaba this week? I mean, I don't even know is there a reason to vote? I mean, wowzers.
Look at Shaba's knights. They're just
I feel like Krisa is just doing the chess community a service by not resigning here. He wants everybody to come in and look. Come look at what Shaba did to me. Come look. It's ridiculous. I mean, what is he doing?
These are evenly rated players, right? Even approximately the same level, but Shaba's making him look like an amateur with all these. I mean, he just took over the H file earlier.
Yeah,
I love Shaba.
I love it. I love it too. All right. Well, we also have Laquang Liam taking on Pascal. We'll see if he can. Ooh, this is going to be a fun one. It's one of those G4 pawn sacks where the G file is going to get nutty. Black is going to try to play bishop H5, bishop G6. Everybody to justify the pawn grabbing on G4 and not let the G file get nutty, but this is going to be a fun one to keep our eye on. So let's.
It's already very complicated here because Black is also trying to open up the queen side, take on D4, play knight C6 eventually, and like you said, putting that bishop on G6 is very solid. So where do you want to hop to now?
Well, we got so many options. The next round between the St. Louis Archbishops and the Minnesota Blizzard are underway. Fedoseev now taking on John Bartholomew. No Scandinavian in this one, and we'll see how Fedoseev works it, but. Andrew Tang, the young, newly minted Grandmaster, will need to hold his own against Cruel Yarrow, who really got a gift with Daniel Gurevich being the victim of my commentator's curse last round. So
I think it's an instructive moment in Andrew Tang versus Yarrow's Jera book is that F5 here, normally you're reluctant or reticent to play F5 because the knight goes to E5. But with the knight on C7 and the knight on F6 and the queen on the D7 square, so you can't go knight D7, F5 is very powerful because there's actually no piece to put on E5.
Yep.
So F5 and just kind of blasting through the center. You can even start with rook A to E1, bishop D1, and then go E5 ideas, but F5 seems very, very strong here. And
F5 is followed also by bishop H6 coming in, right? The moves just play themselves naturally. Oh, Andrew calculates something where he decides E5 is better, but to be honest with you, I think Yeah, I agree. I don't like e5 either. I think that's where your experience in this structure maybe paid off over Andrew's, because it's something that you quickly recognize, right? That the f5 move is a positional no-no, but not here, not with the knight unable to get to the square. And I think Andrew's going to regret making this so dynamic, because white really had complete control with f5.
His idea is very smart. Pawn takes e5, you take on f6, and then play a knight on e4, and then play d6
Yeah,
and f.
you gain these little tempos here and there.
But black is not going to take on e5. Black's going knight h7 here, hitting the bishop on g5, and saying, please take me on d6 to get my queen in the game. And it's not actually clear how white exploits some of these weaknesses in black's camp. So knight h7 here.
Not only that, but the opening of the dark squares here. As the center opens up, really the d5 pawn is easier to undermine. b4 might be coming in for black. So I think that e5 is
rushed.
It's rushed, right? And f5 was a way for white to be really in control there. Okay, well, we'll see if Zerobuk finds knight h7. We also have, of course, Mr. Swice taking on Sean Nagel here. Gotta like Nagel's position in this one. Or is that just my bias against anything that looks close to a close Sicilian Grand Prix, that horrible opening you played for years? Do you still have nightmares about how you played the Grand Prix for so long?
I never had nightmares to begin with, but what black should have nightmares about is that pawn e4 is about to be gobbled. So, about bishop a6 here, is that possible? Rook ad1 looks like a blunder. Right? Bishop a6, hitting the queen on e2, and now e3 is coming down.
I think he just missed it, yeah.
And I still think white is doing perfectly fine because you take on e4 and you have a strong center. But, okay, I don't want to say perfectly fine, but doing all right. But what an oversight by Dariush, a very strong player. He moved too quickly there.
Yeah, I know he played it. I bet that was one of those where he wasn't even going to sit there and take time after bishop h6. It's like, oops, and I'm just going to take the bishop because I've wondered.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll keep our eyes on this game, of course, and the one between. And Yaro takes one out of our book by moving the knight. Maybe not as good as knight h7, but either way, I actually still think that Andrew will come to regret the move e5. How's Finn's doing against Fedoseev? He's got a typical boring position. # Team Scandy. But
I was going to take us over to Atulio Shetty's game as black against Federico Perez Ponce, because you know how we were not very high on the French defense? Look what's happened now. And if you just go back a few moves to move 31...
It's been abusive for the last several moves. White has just been in complete control.
Of course, because you have this backward pawn on f7, you had an isolated pawn on h7, there's a knight on g5 that's just dominating the position.
Don't play the French, kids. Don't play the French.
People got to learn it. Now, let's see, who else is... I can't even look at the French anymore. I'm trying to move on.
I can't look at this either. It's White. White will now be choosing how he wants to dance his way to victory here. Shetty is losing f7, and by the way, if the rook moves, White can just take it, because if king takes e6, rook f6 is mate. So this one is simply over. Ponza wins. What game did you want to go to next?
I haven't figured that out yet, but
Iturrizaga is now playing the next round, and the Miami champions came back and tied the match against the Chessbrahs, by the by. So after a 3-1 start from the Chessbrahs, the Miami champions returned the favor, really bounced back in that last one with Amon Hambleton going down to the man now playing the black pieces, Iturrizaga. So not over yet, as they say, despite the Chessbrahs being favored.
Well, let's go over to the Chessbrahs. Their game's just started, but that's very critical match, and it's cool that they're tied up. But how about Pascal? That's our buddy. We can't stay away from him for too long, can we? Yeah,
this will be an interesting one. And okay, I think he's done well here. He can take on d4 and now start to flip the table to the queen side. Lequang Liem, to me, doesn't get as much compensation as you want over here against the king for that g-pawn.
Yep.
So, yeah, I like this. He takes d4. I'm thinking he just develops the knight, puts a rook on c8, and as they say, let's go. Andale.
I think black is doing solid there, but black is not doing solidly in the teammates game. Yuanling Yuan is completely busted against Alexander Shermanov, and we haven't looked at this game. It does not look very pretty right now, because look at the domination of the pieces. The bishop on g3 is just exploiting a pin on the 96. Black is also down how many pawns? 2 pawns?
Yeah.
And white has 2 bishops.
Something went wrong here for Yuanling, and although she does have the most adorable username, Happy Owls, so she's got that going for her. All right.
She does.
And, what else do we got here? We got many places to go, but let's stay in this match between the Montclair Sopranos. How's Mark doing after the first round? Should be in control of this one here against the much lower rated opponent.
Ooh, this is ugly for black. This is like
G5 and the H files opening and
two bishops, open space. The knights can't go anywhere. There are two sets of double pawn knights.
The one move black can play now. So what's Mark's immediate follow up, just for instruction's sake? Humor me after knight H5.
So knight H5. The problem with knight H5 is I go bishop, let's say to H2.
So you're just going to sit, okay, and
bishop
I'm still
D6
stuck.
is better, but I'm going to sit on H2. Your knight on H5 is going absolutely nowhere, and you're still all caught up because you can never go E5 with your knight on D7 under attack. So you're very much stuck.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So
and knight H5 was played.
Knight H5 was played, but yeah, Mark will likely just back the bishop up, as you said, and the knight on H5 will slowly realize that it's kind of lost over there, out of play.
Let's check on Lenderman versus Durabelli, because we haven't seen that in a while. It's the last match in this particular matchup. And Lenderman with the white pieces, opposite color bishops, but look at that pawn chain on the king side. E5, F4, G3, H4. That means, let's say we took off the queen and the rooks right now, bishop F2 would already be quite a large threat.
Yeah.
Additionally, white can consider playing E6 at some moment because that removes the guard of the pawn on G6. And so, I don't know, but black's starting an attack, Danny. I kind of agree with what you were saying before, where black is looking kind of nice.
Well, I mean, white does have the big 4-on-3, and if, as you said, E6 could be manufactured, but you're right. Black is looking at the king, while white is kind of looking at the endgame, right? But white can't really force his way through to any new lines. And here comes A4. Like how do you deal with that move, right? A4 is coming, just to open up the king here. Yeah,
not pretty at all.
You don't even want to play a move like A4 yourself because you open up ideas like Queen A3 at some point, and things could be really, really dangerous here for Lenderman if he's not careful.
Yeah, okay. So he went G4, so he's still playing on the king side, but A4, like you said.
Yeah, maybe you can play it instantly.
But take on A4 and the queen C4, and the queen's entering the game. This looks very bad for white. And I don't want to oversell it. It's not like dead loss or anything, but it seems like black has all the favor here, especially if you take on A4, queen C4. Yep. Not only is the queen attacking the A4 pawn, there's discoveries in the bishop on E4, and behind the bishop, the F4 pawn is a bit vulnerable as well. So looking nice for Vasif.
Shout out to Jan Ludwig Hammer, who's active in the Twitch chat. I think he's talking about his... Congratulations as the manager. We've talked about grandmasters who are managers. For those who don't know, Hammer works super hard to organize the Norway Gnomes. I know what you're thinking. They have Magnus. How hard can it be? It's a lot of hard work, and Hammer works really hard for the Gnomes to be good. But I think he's talking about his fantasy team. I think he says he has Laquan Liem on his fantasy team. So there you go.
Well, that's a pretty good choice there, huh?
Yeah, and we'll see if that pays off.
Ooh, so Andrew Tang alert.
Tang Town. What do we got? Ooh, the attack is on. But it's probably, I don't know. It's somehow
Well.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Bishop takes G6 is really hard to stop, actually.
In fact, Bishop takes G6 should be played instantly. I don't see what.
Yeah,
maybe we were harsh on. Maybe his idea with E5 and all that stuff actually worked out, or maybe Yarrow was played.
Yeah, I still don't like Yarrow's knight E8 over your move knight H7. I mean, the big difference was that the knight coming to H7 at least can win the bishop pair, and I think F5 was in control. But what happened here? Knight E8. Here comes Tang Town, puts the pony on E4, and rocks the door open with F5. And I guess as long as the position stays sort of split in the board, right, and white gets to the king side first, and black still hasn't done enough on the queen side, then certainly white is in a good position to attack. Now black basically has to take it and then block on G7.
Yep.
Which is just completely lost.
Yeah, and if you take right away, queen G6 check, bishop G7, F7 check, and I win your queen on D6. So that's also a tactic in the air that...
You would go win my queen. That's cruel.
It just emphasizes how bad the position is. Speaking of bad positions, and we're staying in this match, Daniel Gurevich, Wormpaka, playing Duncan Shepherd. Duncan Shepherd is having a rough day on the board because he's about to get mated. Look at the position. That queen on H5, it looks like is a London.
There we go.
Oof. This is painful to watch. Look at this attack unfold, just domination on the king's side. Look at black's pieces, instructive for everyone watching. There are no pieces.
Every London player's wet dream, right? That's what you got right here.
Absolutely.
And
there is rainy weather in London, so it's getting wet. And the pawn on h7, the pawn on f7, and now everything's falling.
Okay,
so.
take h7 first, then gobble back on e5, and somehow white has this position, and he's not even down a piece. Like, it's one of those attacks you would take if white was down a piece, maybe, right? But he's not even down a piece. So yeah, okay. Gurevich is going to get a win, and maybe the bishops are going to have to rethink a bit of their strategy, because right now, if the Blizzard can fight back here, you're going to need the big dogs like Fedoseev to take down guys like Bartholomew. How's he doing with that? He's better. He's got a d-pawn, but not so simple.
No, I think actually maybe we're nearing equality, right? Because the d-pawn is nice, but isn't black up a pawn?
That's right.
You said that. Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure that I'm counting correctly. You're right. And so how can white even try to win this game? If you go rook d7 check, I simply put my king on g6, and I'll put my rook behind the d-pawn. And maybe you can try to win my b pawn and my a pawn, but I don't see how that happens. So, yeah, I think for all intents and purposes, this is heading towards a drawville.
Drawville? Did you just take one out of my Ouchtown population, bro? Shout out to everybody who's active in the chat. A lot of people having fun with Hammer about fantasy chess. A lot of premium members over there in the Chess TV chat too. Thank you to the shout out for Penguin, who's talking about the Pro Chess League fantasy site thing there. So thanks everybody. Yeah, you got to play next week. If you didn't play this week, it gives you something to root for, even if you don't have a local team. Maybe you're not from Pittsburgh and don't share that natural love for Shaballov like we do, right? But if you put Shaba on your fantasy team, those checkmates are going to make you feel all warm and tingly in your unders like they do for us. So so anyway, there you go. Get Shaba on your fantasy team. All right. Take me to where we want to go, Robert. Take me to this place. So many games, hardly enough time, but we got a lot of time pressure happening, and that gets me going. Let's go back to Pascal's game. Okay.
Pascal's position is very passive all of a sudden, and now white can just go h5 and try to unleash a vicious attack over there on the...
Yeah, something happened here. Pascal maybe needs to get the queens off the board, try to put the queen on e5, actually.
And that's why I just want to go h5 and just blast open the position. Because if I go h5, well, maybe can I get away with that? h5, bishop h5. Maybe I'm not in time. Although knight takes g7. No, I don't want to sacrifice.
If you play h5, the main thing is I can't take on f5 because you take with the queen, and that's an issue.
Right.
Okay,
but I'm worried if I sacrifice that pawn, you just take it and then bring your bishop back to g6. I'm actually going to mate you.
Wow.
A3.
Disciplined move. But he's preventing knight b4 because he doesn't want this bishop to come under fire on the diagonal. Though the queen was already guarding b4. That was almost like I'm not exactly sure what to do here, and time pressure is coming, so let me play a3. And that queen e5, I really like queen e5. That was the move I was hoping Pascal would find, and that could be a game saver. Maybe your h5 miss, maybe his h5 miss will come back to bite him big time.
Although can't white just retreat now queen f3? So maybe a3 is prophylactic. Understanding that queen e5 is going to happen, I'll just retreat to f3. Now there's no knight b4 winning my bishop on d3. I'll just retreat to c2. And here's queen f3. So I think...
We're probably going to see knight c5, bishop c2 anyway.
And then what's the follow-up? That's the question. I guess at some point you could take on f5, and if bishop takes f5 and some knight a4, it's kind of coffee house...
Coffee house. That's Levon Aronian chess right there.
I was looking at another game. Where'd it go? It's gone. I don't know where I put it. I think Lenderman won his game somehow, but
Lenderman did come back and win, and shocks the world with black getting on the attack. There must have been a blunder here by Durabali because, and that I think is upsetting for Hammer. I'm pretty sure Hammer had him on his fantasy. So a4 happened as we called it. Queen c2, queen b4. Queen d2, and then he blundered bishop c3. Just straight up gave up a piece.
Well, that's going to have...
Blunder of the week. He just played bishop c3 and just lost a piece.
Well, I don't know if that's blunder of the week because Etienne Bacrot seemed to have won that with his rook.
Okay. Well, there you go.
That's up there. But so in good news, we have Shaba back in action again. Can never get enough of Shaba. But let's stay on this Pascal game. 15 seconds left, and it seems like to be the last game of the round of that, with the previous round. So Both sides under 20 seconds.
No, but I like the way Pascal has defended this, and I don't think Lequang Liem got what he wanted. And whoa,
wait, what? So bishop
okay,
c2
the knight is
check?
still hanging on d6 though. You can take with bishop takes c2 check, king takes, and then even queen h2.
Did he flag?
Whoa,
Yeah,
he just flagged.
So that might be blunder of the week.
Pascal just straight up forgets about his time and loses on time.
He had plenty of time too. He started with
how much? He started with 10 seconds. You can see the clock right here in the logs as you replay it. He started with 10 seconds and just flat out blundered. Forgot about his clock.
Oh, Pascal.
Oh, the heartbreak for the Montclair Sopranos, right? Aren't you glad you left that ship behind?
I don't know if you're allowed to drop that word on.
No, I said ship.
Oh, ship. Gotcha.
Left that ship. As in two ships in the night, like our relationship, never quite able to get on the same page. You know how it is.
It was very hard to tell what that last letter was. But anyway, am I glad I left them behind? No, I feel a little bit bad. But at the same time.
Okay, well, at least Mark got a win, right?
Yeah, but that's not Lenderman got the win. That was a big win.
And Lenderman did. So they maintain, they're within striking distance against Webster, right? It's here come the ship references on Twitch, right? Any way you can say the word ship and insert it in a way that other word you thought I said, which I would never say. You know I do not have a potty mouth off air. That is not me. You get it. All right, Penguin GM did take down Cruel Yarrow, so we have to bow at the feet of Andrew Tang and say we were wrong. He did not blow his attack, or at least Yarrow didn't. I still believe knight h7 was good. So Yarrow, shame on you. Andrew, good for you. And the Blizzard are keeping it close, just like you said, right?
Yep. Look at Nagel go. That's a forced draw. So he won the exchange, but White did have compensation. And I haven't seen what happened since, but all of a sudden, this is just a perpetual, repetition over here.
Look at Nagel. Let's go, Blizzard. Woo! Get the upset over the champs.
Is that what you're trying to say, Danny? Don't get so silent on me. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Sorry, a staff member was giving me some grief off air. Pretty fun. I can't read it.
Okay, so you didn't hear the lame joke that I made?
It's not appropriate. Let's move on.
All right, you missed it. I'm upset now.
No, I'll tell you later.
I said you would have made fun of me, and I would have laughed.
What'd you say? What? Oh, I missed it. I'm sorry.
Would you say he finagled the draw?
Oh my gosh! You dropped the pun. Somebody dropped the mic. He dropped the pun. Oh, my water actually exploded out of it. That wasn't good. It's okay.
How's our boy JB doing? That's the real question that we all have to get the answer to. Wait, how many pawns? So Black's up a pawn again, but it's a different pawn than it was before. And the king is on h5. So that's a weird placement for the king.
Yeah, but he's on the grind. He's on the move.
Although rook b6, doesn't that pick up the b7 pawn?
Rook b6, bishop e4, put the bishop on e4.
But if you have bishop e4, can I go rook to b3, trading the rooks, then going d6, d7, and forcing you to give up your bishop?
Well, I don't have to trade. I can still play rook g2 check, and if you play king e3...
Oh, I forgot about that move. You're right. But then king e3.
Yeah, that may happen. Rook b3, rook g2, king e3, because that's kind of the path they're on.
Wait, actually, rook b4 wins on the spot. What am I talking about?
Oh, rook b4 just wins. You just missed it.
f5 check coming.
f5 check and the rook is a problem.
Yep, because even if rook g2 check, I can just go king e3 in it, right? And then go f5 next if I need to. And you can't. And rook takes b7 is hanging. Kind of everything's hanging.
Is there any chance? You're saying there's a chance. Are you saying?
And by the way,
there is
Minnesota's 2.5 right now in this second round of their match because Daniel Gurevich won that London game against Duncan Shepherd.
As he should, right?
Duncan
this was one of those positions where this is illegal in some places. What Gurevich just did to the poor Edward Duncan, or whatever his first name is. It was abusive. But Finns is regretting his last decision. That's why you never play the move Danny suggests, Finns. Bishop e4. Why would you do that?
The real issue, Danny, is that you paired him against Lawrence Trent in a death match, and so he's used to bad chess.
That's right. He's used to being overconfident, right? If anyone ever needs some confidence, just get Lawrence Trent for a blitz match, and then call me, and I'll throw it together. And Lawrence is always open to it because somehow Twitch is going to donate a bunch of money for him to just get his face beat in, and he's okay with it. But speaking of that, by the way, thank you again. Good reminder to all of our subs, premium members. Thank you for supporting our channel. Really appreciate all the love and everybody who's having a blast here in our different chat rooms. So,
well, let's see who else is having a blast. And right now, that's Michael Kleinman with the black pieces against John Ludwig. And now this is a terrible game for Ludwig because they're evenly matched, at least by rating. And they're definitely not evenly matched by position right now because that white king is on D1. Black is already up a pawn. The G4 pawn is going to fall. The E5 pawn might fall. The F2 pawn might fall after all that. And so I hate White's position.
Well, that's what the Bras need. They need Kleinman to bounce back. Kleinman's really been the hero of the day, right? I mean, he did give away that better position earlier, but he drew his last game against the stronger opponent. And if he can take care of business here, that'll really help the Chessbrahs turn it around. Again, this is one of those positions where you expect Black to be down a piece to have this kind of attack. But he's not. And he's doing good. And that's it. And simple chess here. He's going to trade queens. The E5 pawn is under fire, everybody. So good work by Kleinman. Let's stay with this Chessbrah versus champion action.
And Aman is getting absolutely crushed by Corey Acor right now.
Were you about to? I hope you weren't about to say something else because it
was going to be worse. But the last move that Aman played is terrible. Knight to D7, allowing bishop to C7 is
he's about to just go down the exchange.
Yep, because his knight was on F6. His position was perfectly fine. And then he makes the move knight to D7, which, okay, it makes sense. You want to dislodge the bishop from the square. But bishop C7, now you're just losing an exchange. So
if he had played knight E8, everybody, he would have been okay. If he sits on the position, sometimes you play A6 in these structures just so that there's no threat of A7 falling in case a trade happens on the D file. Those were other moves we would have been happy to see him on play. And, okay, sure enough, Acor finds bishop C7, and Aman is suddenly kicking himself. This is the worst kind of exchange, Robert, because it's a clean exchange. Black's not going to get a pawn, and the D file is already open for White. So this is going to be a really tough one for Aman to hold. What happened in this game? It's like this isn't Aman Hamilton. He's playing the lower rated player, but he's down on time by 5 minutes and making a blunder. So somebody go check on the Chessbrahs stream and make sure it's Aman Hamilton playing. Because that doesn't seem right.
Yeah, that's not a good game.
Okay, but as I was saying, if we stay with this match here, the other one I went to was Sarge's game versus Quesada. That's GM on GM action. And but here it's looking pretty good for the champions, actually. This is... I mean, okay, I guess Sarge is okay too, right? He's got the D-pawn. The queen can't really move without problems there. I guess White is doing fine. But I looked at the E4 pawn and thought that Quesada was in good shape.
Well, I'm with you, Danny, right? Because if you look at the past pawn, the pawn D5 and the pawn E4, that White's is actually blockaded, whereas Black's is free to roam if that queen gets dislodged from E3. Mm-hmm. So I think your gut instinct is absolutely correct in that Black is better here, not winning by any means, but I don't see a way to make progress either. That's the problem, is that the
bishop might try to take on B4 and put the rook on A3.
But then what?
I guess I was fantasizing about bishop A4. I do that sometimes. Sometimes I fantasize about stuff. It's weird. But
it makes sense. But then I guess the rook comes to C1. And if you trade the bishops, my rook will come to C6. So you kind of need that bishop as well.
He might go for it, though. He might be into my fantasies. He might be into it. I don't know. I mean, I hear you. The C file's a problem. C7's weak. And that's certainly where Sarge is going to have to look to get comp a dump. But maybe Quesada plays bishop A4 first. Okay, sorry. Where are you taking us?
I was going to ask you a quick question. Who's going to move their G pawn first, White or Black in this game?
It depends on who's looking for the G spot. All right, let's go over to the game between John Ludwig and Michael Kleinman again, because this is a fun one.
Wait, were we harsh about... I'm confused. Aman allows... Wait a second. Maybe we were harsh, because Aman just went rook C8. And if you take on D7, rook takes D7, is queen E8 somehow surviving? What is going on here? Right? Queen E8, there's a pin on the D7 rook.
That's me trying to think of something to say.
Well, Okay, for starters, Amon definitely did not see this. This is him getting fortunate that there's a way out.
Yeah, there's no way
But
he walked into that. You can tell by the clock that it's not like he's openly like baiting him into just win. Um, the
that's hilarious. That is a weird tactical save, like giving up a piece and then I'm just kidding, I'm fine.
Yeah, no, everything's going to be okay. In fact, the reason everybody is because in case you're not seeing the tactics, there's an obvious threat here. Rook takes c7. And the queen has no defense. You'd like to play a move like b3 to protect the queen. Which, maybe? No, I mean, no, maybe? Help me.
Tough. Yeah.
If b3, then a6 maybe. Trying to prepare b5. But then there's bishop takes b6. So maybe b3 is actually okay for Acor, and actually Amon did blunder.
But after b3, can you go b5 then? Just essentially trying to put the queen on the unprotected square again.
And then if I take, you take c7, and I'm back to problems.
Yeah. Wow, this is a ridiculous position. I don't want to look at it.
You almost want to go queen takes b7 in that position and sacrifice the queen for the rook and the bishop. And white probably has a boatload of comp. But yeah, if Amon swindles his way back into this one, then that
would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
So where are we going now?
Well, there's so many places to stay. We can stick here in the battle between the Chessbrahs and the Miami champions. Iturizaga's game against Rainier. I feel like I can't even say that name anymore given the sexy way you said it earlier. I just will you say his last name, please?
Castellanos.
This is like Spanish soap opera. Maria.
Having an Argentine roommate, you get the quesadilla instead of quesadilla.
Quesadilla.
Exactly.
Maria. ¿Por qué? Okay. Well, somehow Castellanos is down a piece, although he does have a couple of peshkas to go with it.
Love it when you say peshka.
I know. It's my favorite word. Okay, but you got to think that Iturizaga's is going to get this one, which will not bode well for the Chessbrahs because this piece is healthy enough and these pawns aren't advanced enough. So how does black do it? Move the bishop to c6 where it hits a4, preventing b4, and then getting up against the b3 pawn is one idea for black. You could try to bring the knight from f7. That's the one kind of real issue, right? You're not happy with that pony on f7, that's for sure.
Well, the essential instructional point was more of a question than a point. What happens if the rooks get traded? Is there enough black firepower to attack the white pawns to get into a winning position? So, for example, if rook c1 and there's a trade on, well, rook c1 might run d4 check, but let's say king d4 and then rook c1, maybe we trade on the c file somehow. Is there enough ammunition to win that game? I'm not sure. So it's going to be an interesting finish to this game, although I think there is enough. And you also don't have to go rook c8 after rook c8.
Well, no, the line you're talking about is happening, and the c file is critical because it's kind of the only one with infiltration squares, but now the real question is when will this knight f7 get in? Because what's going to happen is the rook's going to move from d8, and the knight's going to use that square so that the pony can relocate itself to e6. And if the knight from f7 gets to e6, white has problems.
Yep.
So that's kind of the plan. Fedoseev did eventually take down our boy Finzo905, so tears wept for the online chess streaming community. On behalf of our boy John Bartholomew, but we saw the blunder coming because he listened to a move from Danny. Let's go back to Hamilton because somehow, some way, I'm on Hamilton. He's pulling an Alexander Hamilton right now is what he's doing. It's an underdog story.
This idea is ridiculous. And there were some people actually in the chat, Danny, who were scolding us saying that, Amon saw this, but he obviously did not see it.
No, so don't ever insult a chessbrah with a beard on Twitch and not expect the hordes to come find you.
And the question now, yeah, it's true. But the question now is if you go, let's say, rook d3 or rook d6, rook takes d7, e5, and you trade off the light square bishops and then try to make use of a spatial advantage and go knight f4, knight e3 to g4 to c4, how is that black bishop, the dark square bishop, doing against the knight? And I think poorly. It's one of those end games where the bishop is worse than the knight. So I think white should aim to go e5 right
Yeah,
now.
immediately. But, hats off to Aman. I mean, like, he was down 2 minutes to 8 minutes just a minute ago, right? And although I know the math doesn't exactly work on that, but you get it. And he's no longer down a piece either. And look at Acor missing his opportunity. Psychologically, sometimes when you think the game is over and it's not, you follow that with bad chess. And if Acor does that right now, then the Chessbrahs are in business. Michael Kleinman did take down the young American boy. I don't even know what else to say. Call him John Ludwig. I feel like that just sounded weird. Let's move on.
Magnus is real second, John Ludwig. Not
Magnus is real second, not Hammer. No, just kidding, Hammer. We love you. All right, here comes the knight to e6, just like I said, and it's gonna be a loss for Mr. Castellanos.
Can we go over to our favorite player in the Pro Chess League, Alexander Shaballov's game?
Alexander Shaballov.
Are we allowed to call him our favorite player? Or is that like biased?
Is it that biased? I have no problem talking about my love for Shaba. So I already have it open.
Just look how fun his games are.
Yeah, what's going on? What is going on here, right? I'll tell you what's going on. He's about to win. He's just going to take e5 and take e6 and
d5. Take e5, bishop d5.
Oh, come on. There's no way Shaba doesn't win this game.
The only thing I will say is opening the G file is favorable for Shaba on principle.
Right.
So bishop 5, maybe bishop back to G3. You can take on G2 and take on F1, but now I have an open G file, so that's a Shaba thing.
Okay, well here it comes. Alan Pichot is going to have to prove it against the Latvian stallion.
And note that bishop F7 looks like a better move because it looks like you actually just pick up the bishop on E5. But the problem is that after bishop F7, queen G4 is a good move. And if you take the bishop on E5, then F6 makes use of the fact that there's a pin on the G file and it attacks the bishop on E7. So bishop F7 getting greedy will not work out in your favor.
Yeah, so that means what are we going to see? We're going to see bishop to D5. And this bishop's going to have to find safety somewhere. Maybe even just back to C3. One of the funniest things about Alan Pichot, Robert, is that he's playing the fantasy league just like some of our other players and managers, and he's actually in second right now. So I don't know if he bet on himself. Look at that. He fell for bishop F7, though. No, he has an idea.
He's trying to go H5, H4, H3. So he said, come on, Shaba, you're not the only one who can launch an attack, but queen G3.
What? Queen G3, H4. Queen G4, H3.
Exactly. And then can you just go rook D2 and protect that, pawn? Wow, this is crazy. What's going on here?
This is getting totally nuts. Pichot trying to give one to Shaba, a little taste of his own medicine here. Sacrifice the exchange for a long-term attack on the light squares. G2, I guess we found the G spot. It's exactly where black is going to be bringing everything, and this is a problem. I can't believe Pichot is in second in the fantasy. That's awesome. I didn't play this week, but I will be playing next week just so I have something else to talk about that is not chess, since everyone loves when I do that. He plays rook d2 quickly, but white is still going to have problems on g2. It doesn't even matter.
Right, but now, you move your bishop back to c3, like you are f4 is c3. Let's go to c3, okay?
But you can take with the pawn.
Then you take everything on g2.
No, but you don't even have to right away. You take once and then do something else.
I'm throwing a queen g7 mate. So
I was testing you, right? Okay, bishop to d6 maybe. I mean, free the queen, then try to get the e file. I just don't think that black is going to lose this. What?
I think Shaba's going to win because you go rook.
Shaba's going to win?
Yeah.
You're calling a Shaba victory.
With the white pieces, I think Shaba's going to win. You know why, Danny?
Wow.
Do a little pawn count for me. What do you see? Who's up pawn?
I hate counting. I don't like math.
This is a pawn.
He is up a pawn. You're right. A pawn is a pawn. And somehow that's going to prove to be enough. That's why you don't try to Shaba the Shaba.
Let's go to Saric's game versus Quesada, because Quesada has 7 seconds left in a difficult drawing task ahead, because Quesada has the 2 rooks and a passed e-pawn, but 7.5 seconds left. And the move f6 here from white for white, you can't take with the rook on f6, so the rook on e8 is hanging. So f6 forces g takes f6,
And white has at least a draw.
And maybe I can just slide my king over, king g. Oh, wait a second.
That might be a little too slow, and you allow rook g8, right?
Right. So maybe f6, take queen h6 check first. Nah, maybe it's just a perpetual. I don't see really a way to win.
Yeah, Saric's just going to try to come up with something tricky, but if he does, he's going to lose because 7.5 seconds or not, you do have an increment, and if you get yourself under that kind of time pressure.
And Corey Acorn is going to lose to Amon Hamilton because Amon got out of it. He's now going to win this piece. This knight on c5 is stuck.
Amazing. Seriously, let's get some Chessbrah emojis spam in the chat. If only I had a Chessbrah emoji here. I'll just do some crazy Danny emojis, everybody. So congrats to Amon Hamilton there, right? I mean, totally nutty.
That's a freakish blunder turned into a great choice.
Yep. When it's going well, right? He got a GM norm, and this is going to be big for his team for him to not lose this. They're already up by 1 game. Here come the Beards in the chat, and should be fun. All right, well, a lot of other games still going. Let's go to Laquang Liem's game with Mark Arnold. The next round between the Webster Windmills and the Montclair Sopranos is underway. Big round for Mark. Who else is playing?
What is going on here? This is in the Laquang Liem game. Like White's pawn structure looks extremely awkward, and you have the e4 square, but you've no knight to put on that square.
Yeah.
So if Black decides to go like knight d7, right? You're gonna have is White in the time to hit d6? I can always go rook f6 for Black. So knight d7. If you don't take on c6, I'm gonna go c5 for Black, and then Black is very happy. After knight d7, if you take on c6, B takes c6. And then rook d1, I go rook f6. And
the d-pawn's under fire, but that may not be enough. I mean, White can try to play b5 in some of those positions, try to open up the d5 square. That would be a problem, actually.
Oh, okay. He went rook d1 first. Now c5. I mean, what is White going to do after c5?
Oh, yeah. Black has got to be happy with c5. Yeah, Mark's a positional chess boy.
What's White going to do here? White's just worse. I mean, the pawn structure favors Black. Now there's no attack, on the pawn on d6. And so Black can just continue naturally, play rook f6.
Yeah, rook f6, do the rook lift, do the thing. Thing. Bring the knight from f6 to h5. I think Arnold is going to bounce back here, but that would be huge for Montclair. They need to get a victory here. They are currently down by 1 against Webster. Another round underway, another game underway, I should say, between Lenderman and Shimonov here. The Alexanders going at it, both spelt with a K. Eat your heart out. Rook to b8. That's weird. What's going on here? How is Black up a piece yet losing?
Well, then rook on d4 obviously under attack, and the rook on d4 can't move. That's part of the problem.
And e5 is about to fall.
Yep. So it looked like Shimonov just sacked a piece on c5 and then rolled the pawns down the board.
Look at this. Knight takes c5, everybody. Bishop takes. Couple of pawns. And that's all he wanted. Now he's going to open up the e-file, and Black's pieces are overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Quesada and Sarge drew their game. That we saw that before, the 2 rooks versus the queen. There was a draw, so that's an even matchup. Amon Hamilton won, so that's great. Indeed. For the Chessbrahs.
Chessbrahs back in control of that match, 6.5, 5.5, but it's close, and they've got one more round, so it's coming down to the wire. And I don't know exactly what the pairings will be in the last round, but I don't think we're going to have any huge mismatches, so that should be a fun one. See how that finishes.
So, Danny, we haven't looked at this game between Christian Sanhueza and Atulya Shetty, but all I know is that the French is terrible. And, okay, White did not make the most precise move in the last move.
Sorry, I'm looking for, when you say French is terrible, I'm moving as fast as I can.
It's ASMS 969. Yeah. So.
It's who?
It's Atulya Shetty.
There it is. White, I got it. My bad. Oh, man. Here we go.
White found this great tactic on the 26th move with knight to f5. opening up the attack on the rook on b6. And the h file is open, so there's a lot of mating ideas.
Just when the French thinks it's going to have its way over here on the queen side, here comes knight f5 and knight d6.
And now knight c3 check. I mean, you have to consider that move.
Yeah, actually, the French might be getting a victory here. This is
knight c3. Can I take with the queen on c3?
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
That's not good.
No, you can just take with the queen. Right. Oh,
so, but if I take with the pawn on c3,
oh yeah, you can tuck the king on a1.
Yeah, and you have no time for rook b2 because your queen on c4 is under attack. So you just by the hair on your
okay, well, here it comes. We're going to find out. I lost a game in the French, full disclosure. It did happen one time. And it was a very similar combination as this one, where black broke through like this, and the rook came to b2, and before I knew it, I was mated. But here it feels like white, oh no, there's rook takes d6, and then the other rook comes to b2. Bobby.
No, but the e6 pawn is hanging with check there after e takes d6.
Boom, boom, boom. Dupe, dupe. That's what Bobby's saying right there. Can't play rook b2 because queen e6. Okay. Babyface Bob strikes again with the accurate calculation. Okay, so yeah, looks like this is not going to be the same kind of game I lost to a very similar combination.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I just thought, the French just has been doing badly today, it feels like.
Right.
And b takes c3 just looks like a piece, right? Because b takes c3, took with the queen, so that's a blunder.
Yeah.
If you take on c3 with the pawn, king on a1, I don't see a mate, but maybe I'm also just overestimating white's position. And then you go f5 and just dismantle the black king side. Now you have to go
now
b3.
Black has got a lot of b-file play.
Yeah, and b3, you take on b3, b3, a b3, c takes b3. Maybe white goes rook d3 or something and just tries to salvage a draw. But it's not looking
white
great.
can probably salvage a draw, but it definitely was
I don't
not.
know about there, actually. That's not a good drawing attempt because you have rook d3, then black goes b2.
In which position? Takes.
So
takes.
a b3.
Oh yeah,
now,
if you play rook there first, then b2. Yeah, but I was thinking you might just take on b3, and if the rook takes, then play king c2.
But black is definitely better there because you're up a pawn first, then you go put a rook on b4 maybe, and then you just start attacking.
But there's threats of rook down to d8 or d7.
All right, you have a fair point. I have to admit it. You have good drawing chances there.
Okay, well, white's also under time pressure, so I would not be surprised if white loses this. But we got a lot of other games that are getting under time pressure. Speaking of that, one of the games here, Edward Song against Grandmaster Krisa. This is a maybe instructive night ending. I don't know. I'm not good at knowing my instructive night endings, but this is one where black is better, mainly just because of the king activity and the weak c3 pawn. So,
but isn't black down a pawn?
Yeah, but even down a pawn, they're almost better, right? Oh no, here comes g5 and h5. That's a problem.
Yeah, I would have started with f3 check, and the problem for black is after king f4, after f3 check, knight h5 check does well to keep the king out from g3. By going g4 right away, perhaps king f4 now, but like you said, g5, h5 is
g5
clear.
takes and h5, and I think the pawn. It's a girl. Here we go.
Yeah. No, this is. And then knight on a4 is very slow to come back over to the king side. So king f4 looks like the only move. But look at the clock situation. Edward Sung again, under 20 seconds left. King to e5 played. So now, can white just
Gonna
go
have to back up.
f3 now? And just, oh no, but then king back to f4, huh? Well, I guess f3, king f4, knight f5. And that way I hit h6. Yeah, I don't really know. Oh, actually, Danny, f3, king f4, h5 maybe. Because if you take on f3, then white goes g5 and starts pushing the pawns through. Because you can always sacrifice the pawn g5 as long as the h pawn roams free. So it's getting very complicated here. And speaking of complicated endings, let's go to Panza versus Awonder Liang. And there's still an international master sign next to Awonder Liang's name. So somebody's got to update that. But look at the endgame. Opposite color bishops, rook each. Black has some ugly pawns. But that king is just, well, now it's getting pushed back. And that was a very smart decision by Awonder to
give up the pawn just to get the activity there.
And now it's just a draw because if king c3, rook c2 check, king d4 will lose because rook c4 check, forcing the king away from the bishop. And if the king goes to the a file, well, we trade rooks, and that's an easy draw. So a good defensive resource by a wonder, and when he was getting himself in a little bit of trouble at this point in the game.
It's no wonder he always seems to find the best moves.
Oh boy. Speaking of finding best moves, Danny, can we please go to Shaba's game?
Shaba.
It's amazing, like how much credit I'm giving Shaba today, but he is up a pawn in this ending. His king can run into the g6 square, and now he can just go b4, yeah, and just.
Why not?
So is black going to try to go king d6, king d5, and try to remove the guard of this? But if you go king d6, maybe king h5, and the rook comes to g4. So, maybe rook b3 to start, just trying to kick this bishop out.
Rook b3, bishop c5. If rook g3, I can just play king h4.
And then rook g5, and I'm threatening bishop g3.
No, but I have rook g4 there.
Ooh, you're a sneaky, sneaky man.
I'm a sneaky guy. Plus, you only got 10 seconds, and I'm a Shaba guy.
Let's go, Shaba.
Bada bee ba ba Shaballov. Shaba Shaballov. Bee ba ba Shaballov. Shaba 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 Shaba. Yeah.
No, this is great for a way. Up a pawn, your king can run into the h5, g6 ideas. And now it's all a matter of when you're going to go b5. Are you going to go a5 first?
Yeah, or a5 first so that b5 is even stronger. You could do either one. Taking his time. That's not a bad move, everybody, because it guards the g5 square, which makes the threat of king h5, king g6, even with rook takes f5, check a threat.
And now king h5.
Yeah.
Very good move.
Yeah, here he comes. King g6. Shaba on the move.
Yep, king f7. The problem is... Oh, wait. Here,
you can just take g7. The h4 pawn's guarded, yeah.
That was a weird decision. But what I was going to say is if he'd gone rook g1 check and king f7, even if you had to give it the f pawn...
Well, no, the bishop's guarding g1.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm blind.
Here comes rook c5, and he trades, and it's over.
Shaba
so
with
the Pittsburgh pawn grabbers are in control, mainly due to the works of...
Sasha Shaballov. So where are we going now?
We got so many places to go. We've got the last matchups between the Chessbrahs and the champions going down here. Iturizaga taking on Saric. Of course, we still got lots of games going on between the Blizzard and the Bishops. Now, the Blizzard have made this close in the last round, pulling up some of these games here. But we could go anywhere. We could finagle it if you're into it.
Wait, isn't the Blizzard... What's the score in the Blizzard match?
It's 3.5, 4.5 Bishops lead.
So they're in the third round of the match.
Yeah, no, they got one more, but the Amon Hambleton game here between John Ludwig needs to be a big win, obviously for the one of the leaders of the Chessbrah crew. Hambleton's got to win this game. Let's go back over here. Okay, so Shaballov did take down his opponent. He is now 3-0 on the day, and the Pittsburgh pawn grabbers are on a roll. Okay, Amon Hambleton is in a Benoni, so the crowd goes wild. Quesada is taken on... say it again? Castellanos.
Castellanos?
Castellanos? Is that it? Did I do it right?
That's where I'm going.
Castellanos?
You sounded good.
Castellanos. Castellanos, ¿por qué? Es mi amor.
And Acor, who beat Castellanos, he's been playing well. He should have, had a better chance against Hamilton. He went wrong at a critical moment, but he's been doing well. And Michael Kleinman, as we've seen, has been doing well for the Bras. So
yeah, this is going to be a big game. You're right. Michael Kleinman versus Corey Acor. Castles on different sides of the board, and I'm happy.
Let's go to who should we go to? I guess everyone's kind of. There's no time trouble at the moment, so we can.
Shetty.
Wait, Shetty
won that French game. What?
Okay.
Now I'm angry.
His opponent blundered first by going knight to d6.
No, not knight d6. Taking on c3 with the queen was the blunder. Knight d6 was fine.
You think so? I thought there's some knight e7 check stuff and just like running down the h file.
Knight e7, sack h7, and then mate. Okay, but knight d6 was fine. Again, if he just takes c3 with the pawn, takes and king here. What were we missing here? Where's the mate? Where's the
I wasn't,
beef?
but perhaps there's something that has not
Wait,
met the
is
eye.
it just queen b4?
No, but then queen c1.
Before queen c1? Yeah, I guess so.
The problem is white's going f5 next, right? So like white's attack actually might even come quicker than black's at this point. So very strange decision. I mean, what white did just got him in trouble. And
Okay, well, either way, I think we're both resentful that the French got a victory, but unfortunately, we're going to have to let it go. The Amon Hamilton game, we'll keep an eye on that one. I know the fans are pretty psyched to see the Chessbrahs play, so we'll keep you posted on that. What else do we have going here?
We have let's see. We have, of course, Johnny B. We have Mr. Nagel playing against Jaros Zherbuk. Well, that game's pretty interesting. Let's go to that one. Looks like Yaro
Somebody's
is
about
better.
to get nagled.
I mean, Yaro has this lovely bishop on g7, but that pawn a5 is also kind of scary.
Yeah, agreed. It's a pawn.
That is a quick runner, actually. So knight d6. I guess if you go a6 now, then just e4, right? Cutting off that bishop, and actually that bishop's trapped. So, okay, maybe black's just winning then. Because the problem is you take on e5, I take back with the bishop on e5, my pieces are getting very active, and I don't think white's in time to go a6, move the queen, a7, a8. It's a long story. But maybe, because if you don't take on e5, like I said, e4 is coming with tempo. And a very important one, trapping the bishop, getting an attack going. So not pleasant looking. Let's go to Mark Arnold versus Lequang Liem. Mark Arnold has 8 seconds left.
Classic Mark.
Has over 3.5 minutes. But immediately...
Yeah, immediately I'm shocked that this happened in this position.
Yeah.
Remember, we were talking about a position where black had closed up the queen side, and the structure was in great favor for black. We thought that we thought black was in control. So somehow something went wrong, or we just misevaluated that position.
Well, we also saw Mark lose that game to Vasif Durabeli in a completely one position with black. So it's not exactly...
I mean, it's not rocket science for Mark to lose winning positions. That's what you're saying.
I wasn't getting going there, but I was going to say that he's not doing his best job at converting.
Today.
So
Today only.
And right now, king h4, you have to be careful, right? If you go king h4...
If you go king h4, you might get mated, right? Can I drop h6 like it's hot?
You drop h6, then you just drop queen f5, maybe, and then I'm trying to trade queens. My king can run in through h5 and g6.
If you do that to me, that would be nasty. That's honey badger chess. Loving that. Yep. That would be sweet.
Just trying. How did Alex Lenderman get out of this? Okay, that is a miraculous save.
Lenderman is a slippery slope. What's he got here? Yeah, he's holding a draw.
Just rook b4 check.
Yeah, just rook check and rook g4.
Rook g4.
Yeah,
dead
rook g4 and dead draw. I said
because
it first.
That rook, yeah, you did. The rook can't get out because after rook g4, rook e3, now I can just go king h7, king g7, and just never...
Tickle it is, as they say. Choose your choice, death by tickle. Should
we go over to Minnesota time? I don't know. Who's...
Okay, rook b3 is good enough as well. The point is white is not able to make progress here, everybody, without one of the pawns falling, and then it's simply over. Yeah, I got all the Minnesota games up, if that's what you're into. The fan favorite, of course, Finzo905, is much better here against Duncan, and Duncan is once again down on time. So, not sure if this is kind of a young man's blues, if Duncan is a little bit out of his league here in some of these matchups, seems that way. Or if, I don't know if Duncan could be a 12-year-old or a 65-year-old for all I know. Not a Duncan Shepherd expert. What?
According to FIDE.com, Duncan Shepherd, born in 1996, so not that young.
Okay, well, white is in control here. Probably white can even just play moves like bishop e3 if you want. You don't even need to be a rush to gobble on a6. Oh, but you could be in a rush. You could also play bishop f4 to hold the c7 square to make sure that pony doesn't go anywhere. Okay, he decides it's time to take.
Wait, but now if you take on a6, isn't rook b8 coming? Or no, knight e5 to d3? One of these, rook b8. Right? Like, I'm getting some compensation. I went knight e5. Honestly, black might be doing pretty well here.
No.
Because b4 is not easy to defend. And then c5 falls after that. Isn't black up a pawn as well? 1, 2, 6, 1, 2, 5. Yeah, black's up a pawn to begin with.
Okay, so I lied. What do you want me to say?
Well, this would be every John Bartholomew fan will cry if he loses to 1986 FIDE Duncan Shepherd.
Yeah, this would be a problem, and it would definitely hurt the Blizzard's chances at a victory. Got to beat up on board 4 if you're going to get this match here against St. Louis. So, okay, well, how's the Tang gang going? You got Tang against Swiersh. I purposely mess that up every time, by the way.
Tang. Tang is holding his own. I mean, the position looks weird because queen on d6 looks kind of shaky, but at the same time, if you can isolate the d pawn with a capture on d5 or capture on e4, whatever happens, and there's an isolated d pawn, the a5 pawn can be hit by a rook b5 moves. So I think black is doing all right here. Although a move like knight e to f3, maybe trying to hop over to g5 is a possibility, and knight d3 into c5 at the right moment is also playable. But no, I think that, to me at least, it looks like black is doing all right. I just think that there are no clear targets at the moment, and so if black is able to capture on e4 and then maybe go queen to b4, there's enough counterplay and enough space for the black pieces to kind of bring it home. As in bring it home survive. And Mark Arnold,
as in not lose, yeah. Okay, Mark Arnold did lose, speaking of bringing it home. Not the kind of chess you want to show mom and dad, or your girlfriend for that matter, if you're Mark today. So that's a disappointing one. Again, I don't know what happened there in that middle game transition, but that was a problem. Back to the St. Louis match against the Blizzard. So Fedoseyev's king is in the middle of the danger zone here.
Whoa. So rook f8 threatening...
Yeah, rook f8 threatens queen f2, but does it do anything after that, right? That's the problem.
How about g5 instead of rook f8? That way you get off the back rank, right? No more back rank checkmate ideas. Queen f4 and then queen h4 is a mate threat.
Yeah.
It's a really good move to cut off the king, and the rook stays in front of the a6 pawn, so that the black queen can take on b2 and wreak some havoc over there as well. So,
all right, wow, queen takes.
Well, why not?
Good move
right?
Too, yeah. Gurevich is in position for an upset over the super GM Fedoseyev. This would be huge.
Rook 1. I guess you just go h6. So g5 may be a bit too adventurous for Gurevich's taste, but a king on g3 is not a happy piece.
Yeah, I think rook e1 makes sense if you're Fedoseyev. I mean, obviously there's the cheap back rank threat, but also you protect everybody. I really liked your g5 move.
Well, I was just trying to deliver a checkmate. I don't know if it's good. It just
queen f4, queen h4. That looked fun. No, but this is big for the Blizzard. I mean, obviously, who knows what's going to happen if Bartholomew's not going to be able to beat Duncan Shepherd. Duncan Shepherd is way down on time, and wow, with that exchange sack.
e5, great move by Duncan Shepherd, opening up the h file, and that rook gets to e2, and the other rook goes to d8 behind that passed pawn. No, JB's in trouble right now.
Yeah, but he's also up on time. I don't know. I'm going to call the expert. I'm going to say that Bartholomew wins this game just based on the fact that
now rook h2 check, right?
King g1.
King g1, I take on b2, and then I just take on b4.
Even here,
now rook d8. Just go rook d8 followed by d2 check.
Okay, that's maybe a mistake now. Maybe knight d5 works.
But I don't know what work means.
I'm looking at the practical situation of the time when I'm saying I think Bartholomew wins. I'm not arguing with you that black is not winning.
I think black is winning this. I feel confident in Duncan Shepherd. Never even heard that name before today.
You're a big Duncan. You're a big DS fan, huh? Little D Shep.
I'm a big Duncan fan.
You're not a fan of somebody until you've given them a nickname. That's how you know I love you, because I've got like
runs on
1,000
Duncan,
names
dude.
for Babyface Bob. What?
Where are you, man? Life runs on Duncan.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it.
What do you mean?
I don't like Dunkin' Donuts.
I mean, I don't eat them either. I'm just saying that's a slogan that you should have. Pop
That's
culture.
right. I should. No, I failed on that one. All right. So hold on, but let's stay with this. So if Finns loses, I mean that's a massive blow for the Blizzard and their chances, especially if our boy, our young buck over here manages to take down Fedoseev with that king on G3.
Yeah, let's see how that game's going. Still, H6 was played, and I still don't think Fedoseev is going to lose, but I also don't really think he's going to win. His king is way too out in the open,
Yeah.
and any queen trade will result in a drawn rook endgame for the most part.
Queen trade? No. C3, C2, C1.
Exactly.
Queen.
By the way, Ivan Sarge absolutely destroyed Eduardo Iturrizaga. Like, that was not even a close game.
I'm looking for the game.
Sarge was black.
Wrong one.
And obliterated Iturrizaga.
Wow. That's a big victory for the Bras.
I don't even know what the score of that match is, but that was...
It's only a single game right now for the Bras. No, it's 2 games after that victory. Yeah, so it's 7.5, 5.5 in favor of the Bras, which means that if Amon gets this win as he should, as white, they have clinched a match victory, 8.5, 7.5. So they're basically in great position here, given that Amon Hamilton, you would think, would take care of business against John Ludwig. And if he does, then the Bras will get their first match victory of the season.
Danny, I'm in pain because Duncan Shepherd is just now completely losing.
You know who called it?
You did, but...
Oh, my God.
Oh, no. Just what a collapse.
Look,
Played so well, honestly. G5 was a great move. Showing Johnny B. Johnny B will be upset with himself after this game. He's pretty hard on himself sometimes. So, he won't be happy with how he played, but he is going to get the win here because now knight takes E7, which is a free piece because rook G8 check and hits the rook on A8. So,
yeah, it's
yikes.
Over. Well, Bart gets by just by the hair on his chinny chin chin. But honestly, I'm kind of rooting for the Blizzard here because if John gets this win and if big DG, as we're calling him now, if big Worm Paka can somehow find a way, just because it's not every day you get a chance to swindle a 2,700 from Russia. So if Gurevich finds a way to do his thing here, although right now after H4 gets in, it's harder to see that White's going to lose. I don't know that White's going to lose this, especially as you look at the time now. 30 seconds, everybody. The A6 pawn is not capturable. If you take with the queen, then you have rook F8. And the rook is overloaded. And if you take with the rook F8 is also a bit of an issue. Okay.
Wait, there's no...
Okay, no mate, but there is a draw.
Right.
There's check on G8 and F7. And I was still thinking of a win here for Gurevich, so that's not happening. I think Fedoseev will bail out here with a draw, though.
Because queen E4 check and then rook G6 is blocking the check and returning a check.
An eye for an eye.
Yep. And so good game right there by Gurevich.
Yeah, I mean, especially to get a draw as black, right? Would have been a huge victory for the Blizzard if he could somehow get that one. But you're proving me wrong right now. The Blizzard are keeping this closer than we thought based on this kind of all IM strategy here.
Look at Andrew Tang, by the way. Speaking of black and being on the Blizzards, he's black against Dariusz Swiercz, and with the black pieces, he looks completely all right.
Yeah, but the big problem is that Finagle got nagled. And
he did not have a good game.
Not a good game there. And but okay, you're right. Let's see if Swierz can prove his A pawn.
I feel like black's just better because white pieces can't move, right? Like the knight A6 is stuck, protecting the knight at C5. The knight at C5 is stuck, protecting the knight at A6. Mm-hmm. And if you go knight takes E6, then F takes E6, and your knight A6 is still trapped. So what move do you even have here from white's point of view?
Rook C1, so that you can threaten to take E6 and then C6.
But if you go rook C1, then I'll just move my bishop to C8, hit your knight on A6, and then you lose that knight.
You'd like to think that, wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, I just think from a practical standpoint, I just don't see a move for white here. Maybe rook e1, because that stops bishop c8, because rook e8 check is an annoying pin. But after rook e1, maybe black can just go king f8 to start, or king h7.
Yeah, that's what he does. He finds it. He can take e6 with the rook, take with check with the knight, and then maybe get his way out. But he's losing there. He's down the exchange.
And then black just goes king e7 to d6, and again the knights are tied down to each other, and rook takes c5 as a threat. Not to mention the a5 pawn was already hanging with the king on e7. So this is big trouble. And Andrew Tang, grandmaster.
The Tang gang is keeping the Blizzard's hope alive right now. He's going to go for the exchange sack as predicted, but a lot of it is because he ran out of time anyway. So probably going to have to settle on knight c7, and then after rook takes a5. Oh, I think that makes black's life easier.
Does it? I don't know how. Oh.
You can play rook a7 and then knight c7, and there's nowhere to go.
True.
Yeah, and he finds it.
Then you take on c7, I take on c5. Well, actually, what if he goes knight c7 here?
Knight c7.
He'll move the king first. I'm going to say that there's a little bit of trickiness involved, but now it's not. Have you seen the movie Pootie Tang?
Like 70 times.
Okay, well, when I see the name Andrew Tang, that's all I can think about.
Anyway.
Not appropriate, for sure.
Absolutely not, and I have not actually seen it. I figured the only answer, it's like in Ghostbusters. If someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes. Someone says you've seen Pootie Tang, you're like, yep, 70 times. Like, it's my movie. It's my jam. Okay, he did make this a little harder for Tang than the Tang gang would like, but
the good news for Tang is he's a very, very, very good bullet
fast. Yeah, Tang is fast. Although this is a little Swearsy. It's a little Swearsy. Because now all of a sudden black's pieces aren't placed ideally, right? You can't move the rook without this pawn hanging.
I think it's going to be a draw. It's not easy.
Yeah, here comes knight c5. Oh, he had knight c5 there, and there was no check, and the knight e6 check was coming. He should have played a last move.
Yep. But maybe just poses, because after knight c5, there's still rook a7. But look how passive black is now.
Rook d6. White should just sit. That's not the right move by Schweers.
Yeah, the reason I don't like that is because it creates a weakness for white. The pawn h5.
Yeah, white wanted to just sit tight there. Play rook d6, rook g6, and buckle up.
Rook g6. At some point, then rook f5 hits the knight on c5 and the pawn on h5.
No, that was misplayed there. He Schweersed it. He Schweersed the pooch.
I don't know why that just sounds so funny to me. But, no, this is definitely progress now. Rook e1, yep.
Yeah. No, Tang is back on the train. Back on the Tang train.
Is the train going anywhere?
Runaway Tang.
Oh, well done. But right now,
okay, knight h3. Yes, to play knight h3 and try to guard it, but Tang is in control again. Yeah, g5. What a terrible move. I mean, for a strong grandmaster, he was playing to win there, but he has no business trying to win. That was a mistake.
It's something that I tell my students all the time, that you lose sight of objectivity when you do something like that. Instead of playing for the best moves, you play, I'm trying to beat my opponent, and then after that, it's all downhill.
Yep.
And right, d4 is a good move. Now it's c4. Then comes c3. Then comes rook d2. Is he going for some cheap checkmate in the back rank? Yeah, he was trying to go for some.
He's gonna consistently go back for that checkmate. It's gonna be fun.
Yep.
All right. Well,
it's over.
Gurevich and the Fedoseyev, the GM, did draw.
Wow, what a round from Minnesota.
Yeah, what a round from Minnesota. Finns comes back to beat Duncan D. Shep, as we're calling him. So Finns beats D. Shep here. The Tang gang takes control, takes care of business. So they get 2.5 that round. Too bad Nagel couldn't finagle his way to a victory. I'm going to play that one up till the end of time. All right. But seriously, the Chessbrahs are moments away from securing their first Pro Chess League victory of the season, so we'll keep an eye on this game here. It can happen in any form, either by Amon winning, Michael Kleinman taking down Tampa Chess, though this looks like a really weird one, And then, of course, we have a whole nother round taking place between Minnesota and St. Louis, who are deadlocked 6-6. So that's awesome. And we've got everybody's favorite pawn grabbers and Sopranos still going at it. So where are we going from there? Our boy's at it again? Shaba.
I was gonna say my gut always tells me to go to Shaba, but Shaba's in trouble right now because his active style is not working out when there's this big giant hole on b6 with that bishop on e3 staring down to just aim right there. So bishop b6 is a big threat. What can you even do here?
I can already anticipate your comeback. People are waiting to bash you about your criticism of the Brahs not being as strong as last year, and I will remind them that you were also very critical of Miami not being very strong this year. So before you try to get Robert to apologize, give it a few weeks. Let's see if the Brahs can hold their own.
I just think it's a fact. I mean, they can argue all they want, but when you lose, if anyone could tell me with a straight face that when you lose Fabiano Caruana and Li Chao, and you have mostly the same lineup with the addition of Ho Yifan, and then some of their players got a little bit better, I don't know how you can argue that you didn't get worse. It's not an insult; it's just a fact, or it's an insult to Fabiano to say that they didn't get worse by losing him. So
don't bring Fabiano into this.
I'm just Fabi. Isn't he on a team as well? He's like on St. Louis now.
He's on St. Louis, yeah.
Yeah, they're two. Anyways, let's go to one of the Chessbrahs games. Let's go to Aman's game against John Ludwig, not Hammer.
Not Hammer. That's his rest of his name. They're like, hey, he's like, hi, I'm not Hammer. Nice to meet you.
Well, look at the position now. It's actually very unclear.
No, Aman's just better. Don't give him. I mean, look, this king's going to come to d4. We're going to rock the e5 breakthrough, and Aman actually does have an Uncle Bob. So in this case, saying Bob's your uncle, it's totally appropriate. And
okay, well, so Black just puts a rook on e8. How are you going to make progress? I'm going to wait for this. I'm curious.
Okay, first of all,
I'm listening.
Usually if you start a sentence by first of all, it makes whatever comes out of your mouth next intimidating. In my case, that backfired. Okay, I could play g4 and try to get g5, get that knight out so that I'm not worried about tactics on d5. Then I can play king e3. I can play rook f1 to guard the pawn. I'll put my king on d4. And is that an outpost square? Because I'm going to put my king on it. And that's what's just happened.
Okay, and then at some point I'll leave my knight h5, go f6, rook f8, and attack your f4 pawn. Okay. But you know what? You can just make all the moves you want. I don't have to return the favor.
You're not allowed to move in these world I live in. No, but it is a closer game than I'm sure Aman would like, but I expect him to pull it out.
At some point, Black can consider going g5 himself to move this f4 pawn and then stick at least a knight or a rook on that e5 square as well. So h6 followed by g5 is definitely something.
Yeah, I think h6 is for sure. You would force. I can't even play everybody. I can't even play king f3 because there's tactics on d5 due to the pawn being pinned. So,
Michael Kleinman is all sorts of mated right now.
Kleinman?
Yeah, he's getting.
Yeah, I knew those dark squares were a problem when I saw that board. I was like, ah. I didn't do that, but instant replay would show that I did.
He's getting absolutely worked. When e takes d6, and then allowed Mr. Acor to just slither his queen into the queen side.
No, here he took with the pawn, should have taken with the knight. And that was the position I saw where suddenly the dark squares are nice move there. Notice the bishop guarding the king, everybody, which means takes is mate and bake on b2, c3, king up, rook takes h1, and Kleinman's got 99 problems, and like 76 of them are dark squares. So it's a problem.
Well played.
All right, well, if Kleinman loses, you're right. The champions, they're not champions, but they're almost not losers. They're not champions, but they're almost not losers yet. Robert?
No, I just don't think they're as strong either. But like I said, I'm giving all the credit in this.
Robert, I'm not asking you to apologize, okay? And I don't,
it's too late to apologize.
Well played. But is it too late to say sorry? Because Justice Bot. No, I'm kidding. All right.
All we need is one point from the Pittsburgh Pawn Grabbers, and they win their match. Did they win a single match last year? I'm not sure. Maybe they beat the Columbus Cardinal, who are not good at all.
The Columbus who?
Cardinal.
Was there a Columbus Cardinals? I don't think there was.
Yeah, there was.
I feel like
They
you
were
just
all
made that up.
no, they're all a bunch of young kids from Columbus, Ohio. Anyway, back to the chess. I'm getting real distracted.
All right. I wanted to go check out Shaba's game, but you're right. He's getting taken this one. Ponza's ready. But okay, Shaba, despite his reputation as an only Latvian gigolo, he's actually also a Latvian defender, okay? And he can defend himself out of a position from time to time too. Apparently the Columbus Cardinals were real. Okay, I'm wrong. It shows you how close I followed the Pro Chess League last year. All right, Kleinman goes down, and it got ugly by the end. The Chessbrahs need Amon Hamilton to be who he is. Hamilton was who we thought he was.
Look at the clock situation, Danny. I mean, Hamilton is not up
He's
upon.
not up a pawn, and he's not down on time. He's not up on time.
But so he's 10 seconds left. But now, no, his position looks great though, right? So knight f4. The only way he can really lose is if something goes drastically wrong with the black uses his g pawn and promotes. Because at some point, white's either going to break through on the king side or go e4 to e5 and then run the king over to b6.
Yeah, at some point, white's going to blunder his way into a king dominance by Amon. I'm calling it now. Amon's going to get in.
Yep, there's g5.
Okay, play bishop d1. No, bishop d1 and knight e2. You just wanted to trade off that knight. That's what he should.
And then rook comes to h8, and there's compensation along the h file. So right now, white's got rook h1.
Yeah, he's
but
got
now king
to.
Back, either g4 or king back to g. No, king.
G4 is playing for a win. Okay,
yeah,
G4 would have been the move that says I'm playing for a win. Okay, he's going to go for bishop e2. That's what I wanted. And knight e2.
The bishop c8 here. Invite knight e2 so you can take on f5.
Yeah, but black maybe should have played your move g4, by the way.
Danny, look at the clock. 4 seconds left for Amon.
No, not
now,
ideal.
Knight d3, right? Knight d3, I hit b4.
Knight d3, you hit b4, and f6
White
check.
better be careful. White better be very careful.
Yeah, he had knight d3. He's getting nervous.
Still has knight d3. There it is.
Yeah, but
now,
it was stronger before.
No. See, well, black should just go king f6, king e5 himself.
He can still play for that. If he trades rooks...
f6 check first. Oh, wait, maybe not. Maybe I can't even tell. They're moving so fast.
I can't even tell either, yeah.
Who's better? It's a draw. There has to be a draw.
Amon's going to try to swindle his way to a victory.
No, this is the... Unless e5 check and the king runs in, but then you lose because the e and the c pawns and the g pawns. So.
Yeah, Amon's just going to have to tickle it out. But he doesn't need to win. Look at that. They already got a draw on the other board.
And so they win the match?
They win the match. They will win the match 8.5, 7.5. Amon, in the being the good heads-up team player he is, the game between Quesada and Castellanos? What? Castellano. The game between Castellano and Quesada drew, which means Amon recognizes he doesn't need to win this game. The Chessbrahs have officially won their first match of the season. So, at this point, he could probably just press the draw button. I think they've repeated the position a few times. So,
So moving on from that game because
well, I just want to see it. I want to see it happen. The chess. Whoa! Why?
What happened?
He played King E3, allowing King E5.
Is he worse now? I exited out of the game because I.
There was F6. He tried to swindle him. Look at this. He tried to swindle King E5 F6 for a sassy little sacrifice to get F7 and Queen. Okay.
No, I didn't. And he fall.
He didn't fall for it. But he almost. But I was screaming for King E5, and then I saw the classic Amon Hamilton swindle.
You scared me there. I was like, "What's going on?" I clicked out of the game.
Okay,
and
well, congratulations to the Chessbrahs. They do indeed get their first victory of the season, but we have a lot of other games to cover here. I got to start by bringing up the Tang Gang, who's going to be in an interesting battle here against Fedoseev. This will be the one for the ages. Can Tang, the youngster from Minnesota, take down the 2700 from Russia? You know what they say about Russian winners, right? Bleep gets cold. That's what they say. They say bleep gets cold, in Russia. But Minnesota has always been called the Mother Russia of America. Like that's right. I mean,
I've never heard that one, but it is very cold there. And now, but Denny, Tang's position looks nice, right? Bishop takes c6, and if you take back with a bishop on c6, then white can just go d5 and expand the center. then bring the knight to d4, rook to d1, etc. You can also just play bishop d3, right? If you're white, you can play calmly and then try to go d5 in the future. So I really don't like black's position. A lot of loose, light squares on the king side as well. And the spatial advantage definitely favors Mr. Tang. So that's a good start for them.
Some people asking in the chat, yeah, Tang is 3 out of 3 so far, isn't he?
He is?
Hasn't he won all his games so far?
That sounds right.
Because he beat Yarrow in crushing Benoni fashion.
Yep, and then he beat Darrow.
He took care of the business he was supposed to against D. Shep.
And he beat Darrow, yeah. So
and
he's 3 out of 3.
Swears got weird.
Swierschenschuk?
Okay, so this is it then. I mean, this is, in many ways, Fedoseev is up against the wall with the black pieces against Tang, because if he doesn't find a way to win, then he's not earning that 2,700 cold hard cash.
Now
95! Tang is on a roll.
Oh, nice
little swish and zoog. Speaking of swiershness, he has knight g6 check, though.
Yes, knight g6, king g8, and then queen. What? Okay, that makes sense too.
Yeah, that makes sense too. Yeah, now he's better positionally.
So
positionally, we have problem here. Okay, this.
I'm not sure. Queen d6. The idea of trying to go knight g4, but maybe you'll go f3.
I'm hoping somebody will yell at me as soon as Shaballov is about to come back and win.
He lost already.
What?
He got mated.
Shaba doesn't lose?
Yes, he really does, and he loses just like the way he lost.
Wow, he got crushed. I mean,
yeah.
Shaba is so last week, you know.
So his teammates, a Wonder Liang has a very nice passed B pawn that's about to go to the promised land. So that's winning for a Wonder. Wonder beating
Where's
Alan
a Wonder
Bishop.
Liang? Hold on, let me find that game.
He is Red Nova 1729.
It's a wonder I don't know his username, given that it sounds nothing like his real name, a wonder.
Oh, boy. Anatolia Shetty's up 2 pawns and a rook ending against...
There it is. Got it.
So, yeah, that's as great as you can get within an ending.
Yep.
I mean, if White holds this, that would be amazing. It would be a total miracle because... Yes,
there's no way you can hold. Peugeot did not have his best day today. A bit of a village bicycle there for Pittsburgh pawn grabbers to have his ride. Not his best work today there from Mr. Peugeot.
Wow, some interesting games across the board.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting ones here. I'm checking on the background here. We've got this Minnesota Bishops matchup is turning into quite the riveting affair.
Where's our boy Johnny? There he is against Cruel Yarrow.
Unfortunately, the Montclair Sopranos are almost mathematically eliminated as it is. They're down 8-5. Lenderman is worse here against Lequang Liem, I think.
And Mark Arnold lost his game. So did he get a donut? No, he beat Talia Cervantes. So he got 1 out of 4, which is not
Lenderman's worse here, though. I mean,
yeah, and Arnold lost. I mean, Arnold just blundered a couple of games. Yeah, he had a really rough day. I mean, just his game is Vasif in the first game. He was playing like a champ, and then all of a sudden...
Yeah, he almost psychologically didn't recover from that text message he sent you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, so too bad there. Obviously disappointing, but we have to stay focused on the chance that the Blizzard might beat the Bishops. And right here, right now, Nagel's about to do some finagling on the dark squares. Look at this. We're going to pop a pony into d4, Robert. I'm going to sack that pawn just to open up that bishop, and I'm going to bring my other knight to d7 to either c5 or e5.
And I'm going to temper your plan and go knight d7 first, so that when I go knight d4, I don't have to sacrifice a pawn.
Okay, so one way is really awesome and sexy, and your way is kind of weird and positional. Maybe it's better.
No,
we'll let the fans decide whose is better, okay?
I really agree with you. That is very thematic. It's strong. No, I mean, you're right.
I'm kidding. Your approach is obviously better. But
no,
okay.
Actually, I disagree that it's obviously better. I agree with you that opening up that bishop can very well be worth the cost.
But seriously, Finagel's playing like a positional champ. He's also got this move h4 coming in. You got to watch out for.
I love how you called him Finagle now. This is great.
Finagling, I don't even know his real last name. It's Sean Finagle. He's finagling the dark squares. Okay. Let's hope that Shetty loses so he learns his lesson about winning with the French. Just kidding, Pittsburgh.
Shetty is doing great against his GM.
Yeah, he is. He's really, honestly, Pittsburgh's doing great. And overall, we're rooting for them. In fact, they have just clinched the match.
Because of Edward Song on the board 4.
Edward Song. Where's he at?
He won. And now Attilio Shetty just won on time. So that's another win.
There they go. Look at Pittsburgh running away with it.
Yep.
A clean victory for last year's sort of they were on the doormat last year, on their way out, and not this year. You know why? Because they don't want to be in last place again and have to qualify. They're bringing it this year.
Ooh, Pascal. Bye-bye, Pascal. There's a rook on c8 that's just hanging. And if you take that rook, it's a free rook. But you can also take on h7 first and then go back to f5 and then take the rook on c8.
Yeah, so, how did this happen? He played rook c8 in the hopes that white would take to get queen e4, double attack. But white was like, nah, I'm not going to take that rook. I'm just going to free my back rank and checkmate you.
Yep.
So, okay, well, not Pascal's best day at the office. And Montclair, unfortunately, jokes aside, a lot of friends of ours on that team. So they're going to need to find themselves. Time for a little bit of self-reflection and figure out how they can turn things around.
Well, speaking of reflection, turning things around, our buddy John Bartholomew is going to need a bit of reflection on his position because, yes, he has an isolated d-pawn that is passed, but look at white's structure.
Yeah, this knight is delicioso.
On-chain with the knight on e5 is just so wonderful, right?
Yep.
Because
loves it.
It's well defended. Unfortunately for black, the knight c5 is very loose. And then behind the knight, the a7 pawn will fall. And so it looks like trouble. You can go knight e6 here. I think from Bartholomew's perspective, you just got to sacrifice the pawn and then push the d-pawn, or consider taking on f4 and trying to open up that white king. But it doesn't look like the knight sacrifice on f4 will work. So try to go d4 and create counterplay with a passed pawn.
Yeah, but now he's got problems with the knight, and if the knight moves, we trade on c8, and d5 immediately falls.
Well, knight e6, right? You're hitting the queen on d4. So
but you're giving me a7, right?
I don't have a choice. Sometimes I got to give something. I can't always take.
We've always been in a give and take relationship. You give, I take. So let's do it. This is here comes the rook to c1. We like Yoro's position. You're right. So where does Minnesota get their wins, you might be asking, as you sit there and cuddle in your blanket because it's really cold outside. It doesn't look like it's going to be on Tang's board. This is Fedoseev.
Well, Nagel is going to win even if he's not winning right now because he's just a much stronger player on that board. No offense meant to Duncan Shepherd, but he's been getting and
he's also better already. And the dark squares are a problem, and we could do it your boring positional way. We could do it my sexy way. Either way, someone's going to get finagled. But it's definitely going to come down to... So if Nagel wins, that means they get 7. So they just got to get a point somewhere else to get that tie. Where does it come?
And Tang does not look like he's going to be the one to get that
Although
point.
there could be a blunder, right? We've got this... If Tang is hoping for this h6 pawn to fall because it's pinned to the king, right? I mean, a boy can dream.
Well, so e5, pawn takes g4, pawn takes bishop. This is not clear at all, actually. The c4.
Feels, yeah, he goes for it. I like Fedoseev's. He's doing work here.
Yeah, queen g3 looks necessary.
Yep.
But you're right. But, I mean, Danny, at the same time, while black, I agree that black looks better, if white can get away with some queen g3, h4, g5, breaking open the h file, it's not...
No, you're right. Yeah, h4 is key anyway, just because it gives that king a little safety, even if you're not all in on that attack there.
And Daniel Gurevich with the white pieces against Dariusz Schwiertz. This is a very interesting battle. You see that if we pull that game up, that Black's pawn structure is compromised, right? This F7 took on G6. But just because they're double pawns, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing, as Black can use the open file, semi-open file, by using the other rook on F8.
Yep.
Now, what in the world is going on after rook F8? Can you get away with taking on D5 first? F2 is hanging. I don't know what's going on.
No, I don't think you can. I think too many tempi, not enough time. And probably, well, although you could just give up the queen for the 2 rooks.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Can I just do that and then
this looks good for white because the e-pawn is going to be a monster.
Very unclear position. Knight D4.
Schwiertz has got to think about. Schwiertz has his work cut out for him here. This is Oh,
my back is killing me.
If you keep saying it usually answers come to you. That's my experience.
Well, it was more about my back was just kind of aching, and I just now I'm back. But okay, so queen in the which game are we going to? Which game is this? Wow, Talia Cervantes versus Yuan Ling Yuan. Talia Cervantes has a ginormous advantage and is about to win a piece. So that is game over. So the Webster board 4 pulling off her upset, and not the match is already over, but now it's going to be a total blowout.
Yeah, Webster's going to finish the game by doubling up on the Montclair Sopranos score. 5-10 is going to be the final there after Talia gets this victory.
Can't be a final. There's 16 games, right? So,
oh yeah, that's right. So at least doubled up on their score, maybe. Lenderman could hold.
No, he's much. But he can hold, but he's much worse.
Yeah, he's much worse.
So that's not fun. So let's stay with Minnesota, because that's the only match that's still competitive, right?
Yep.
All the other matches are finished in terms of who's the winner. So let's see where we go.
There's so many options there in Minnesota. I think they're all still interesting. We've got, the Tang stir is
complicated, very, very complicated. So queen takes c3. So pawn count, 5 pawns for white, 4 for black. King safety count. Black's king is safer for the moment because it's in the corner and there's a diagonal check for black, and there's no luft for the king, right? So there's no space there. So, but queen e7 is a nice move. It protects the rook on e1. The d2 rook is not actually under attack because queen takes a fate
with Chekaruski.
So you need to move that rook. And do you move it to g8 to be ultra protective, or do you move it to c8, which allows some kind of rook d8 check idea?
The nice thing that you highlighted, though, is that with the queen on e7 guarding e1, then if the rook moves, then the rook on d2 can immediately come to d8.
Right.
So you might see some sort of I'm not sure how strong it is, but if the rook went to g8, you could play rook d8.
But then queen takes e1, right? Then you get the two.
Yeah, that would be brilliant. Good call. Rook g8, rook d8, chop down, followed by 2 rooks for the queen. And that's going to be an easy win for black if that happened to everybody, just because too many pawn weaknesses for the rooks to double up on. But so maybe white is g5. Oh, no. Okay, not right away. I was kidding. The d2 rook's hanging. But I like the idea of g5.
Yeah, and actually, so other rook to d1. That way you can go rook to d8. So if rook takes c4, is g5 happening? Is rook d8 happening? It's a really tough question. He took with a queen on c4. I don't like that. The reason why I want to take with the rook on c4 was so I could swing my rook back to c8 and protect the back rank if need be. However, queen takes c4. I guess you can trade queens to queen c5 check at any moment. So you're not really in danger of losing in that kind of endgame. So g5
he gets g5. That's what I wanted, but
the queen c5 check, I don't think black's losing that, but black certainly isn't winning it either.
Yeah, he wants to win, though. The thing is, how much is he willing to risk?
Well, let's look at his teammates while we got to get back.
He does have this move queen h4, though, Robert. Tricky little move that pins the g5 pawn.
But then rook d8. I'm worried.
Queen takes g5.
Well, then rook takes rook and queen e8 check picks up that rook on a4.
Oh, snap diz. Faux riz. Okay.
I think you have to go queen c5 check. Or, yeah.
Fedoseev is going to have to think about this. So that brings us back to the game between Yarrow and Finns, where Yarrow is not going to lose. Not sure if he's going to have enough to win the night ending, but definitely going to be in control. Nagel is, he's no
Nagel's doing
longer
well.
in full control. Oh, I mean, he's still much better. The C file, I think he'll play Queen A4 here, but I don't know if this was the full dream realized.
But it's a great lesson, right? Because people think opposite colored bishops means equality, but look at the bishop on H6 covering the D2 and
Yeah,
the C1
no, it's a
squares,
phenomenal piece hitting the C1, D2, E3, all those squares. So that means we
and that
come
bishop on
down to
F3.
looking at Daniel Gurevich's game.
Yep. I was gonna say just that bishop on F3 is doing nothing, and then Gurevich's game. So has Black not really?
This could
so
be the
when
game
Rook
that decides it. It's the one that I think is kind of most unclear currently.
I guess Rook E2, right? Just be safe.
Yeah.
You know, instead of doing this
But we
CD5.
talked about this, though. I mean, he's calculating CD5 because what's the advantage of doing it first is, okay, first of all, if you play Rook E2, can I play Knight D4? Not sure, but maybe.
Whoops, did I blunder? Probably.
So if you have to play a move like Rook F1, then again you're playing passive moves and you're not going to get the full advantage realized of your e-pawn. So I think there's reason for him to try to calculate here and try to justify C takes D5 if he can. The other move that's tricky after CD5 does Black have Knight B4 just go into Fork Town?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe D6 is possible there, but I
Ooh.
didn't think hard and long enough about it. But maybe.
You can think hard and long whenever you want to.
Oh, but then Queen D5. Right?
I know, I already played it on the board before you could say it, proving that I can still calculate.
You can, and I sometimes can't. So, well done.
Oh man, this has been quite the day. We've had 3 decisive victories, no deadlocks for you and I, buddy. No deadlock matches.
No. Well, this 6-6 right now in Minnesota. C takes D5 was played.
That's what I wanted to see. That's what I wanted to see.
He's trying to mix things up here, get some sort of dynamic position. So I guess if Knight B4, the move will just be Queen to B3, saying, all right, like,
You might
you
just
take on that.
sack the exchange, maybe?
Yeah, definitely. Or take on E6 first, right? Because Knight B4, Queen B3, Knight takes D5, Knight takes E6, removes that pawn from guarding the Knight on D5.
Yeah. Good call. Yeah, this is going to get weird. One of the biggest risks, though, for White, though, is if F2 falls and if this Knight ever moves from G5, then H4 is hanging in a ton of positions. So there's like all these weird potential tactics where White can just get checkmated quickly.
Yep. Also, if you take with the Rook on F2, let's say, and then temporarily sacrificing the exchange, take on F2 with the Bishop, then H4 is hanging, E1 is hanging, and things are getting kind of complicated. So let's. Whoa! What is Johnny B doing in an endgame? How do these knights get traded? So he went Knight D3, and JB took on D3, but the move H6 is definitely that can't be good because after H4 now
H4, H5. Then all of a sudden G5's a threat.
So what was wrong with? I guess you didn't have enough time. If you ever went King
I think he's losing the king pawn ending anyway. But I'm surprised he traded on D3. Did he have to do that? I mean, it's got to be better drawing chances to play a move like Knight A6 and keep him on the board.
Yeah, I guess Knight E5 was coming, and
but still, I feel like this king pawn ending is straightforward, and now White's going to play H5 and G5, and Black can resign.
Exactly. So Finns is going down. It's John Bartholomew. Nagel is still in the driver's seat, though. Duncan Shepherd is, really holding on pretty well for the moment.
Yeah, and if he manages to challenge on the C2 square, getting around the dominance of this bishop, that would be huge. So I still don't think Nagel got the best out of that pressure there. There should have been a piece popped into D4 at some point. Waited too long on maneuvering this knight from F6 into D7.
What? Whoa. Sorry, I agree with you about the maneuvering, but I was looking at the Fedoseev game, and he's playing for a win, which might in some ways be playing for a loss because he took on G5. So if a white piece can get to the H file, there would be checkmating ideas. And after Rook D5 by Tang, so maybe Rook D3 right away was better, but maybe Rook D5 was fine. Now just like the team feels so unsafe, but at the same time, I guess there's no immediate knockout blow. I just don't. It feels very risky decision by Fedoseev. I understand you're the higher rated player, but your position doesn't seem to really warrant a winning attempt. And I think Rook E4 here is a good defensive move because Queen move. Like let's say Queen H5, just Rook to E1, still threatening to take on G5 next. Black's king is exposed. I don't know. I think it's one of those positions where maybe you shouldn't risk it, but maybe he's concerned about his teammates. Uh-oh. Also, Daniel Gurevich, 2 rooks for the queen.
He did it.
Yep, he did
D5, and Schwarz went for it. I'm liking Gurevich's chances here, although officially it is in the books that Finns went down to Yaroslav and that king and pawn ending, just as we said he would as soon as white achieved G5. So that means Minnesota is 1 game away from, well, not being knocked out. I guess 8 is still a chance to tie.
Yes,
so,
and actually, for Gurevich, Danny, what about E6 here? Can you get away with it? I guess I should be more concerned about losing my H-pawn, right? The queen on B4 attacks a zillion pawns at the same time. But I'm just trying to... No, I guess I don't really want to lose my... No, actually, yeah. Can I take on... Sorry, can I go E6 in this position? Because I'm worried about queen takes H4 check.
But your rook guards the knight, and...
But I go G3, right? Because my pawn's on E6 protecting the knight. The rook on D5 protects. So E6... You take on H4.
If they keep checking and eventually check on H5, you have G4, and there's no checks for the queen.
The knight is such a good defender, and it's threatening checkmate after E7 and rook D8 checkmate. So,
yeah, I think Gurevich is going to prove to be the hero for Minnesota today. Obviously the Tang gang is in full.
Tang is just going to draw at this point. He's a rook in.
Tang going 3.5 out of 4 against a group of 3 grandmasters is all good in the hood. Pretty good for a day's work here.
E6 was played by Gurevich. He found it.
Yeah, super nice. So if Tang draws and Gurevich wins, it all comes down
to Duncan.
Who is down on time, and Nagel is in position to take him down.
Although Duncan's been holding pretty well. This knight on A5 is a huge nuisance because it attacks upon him B7. You can't really go B6, and the knight goes into C6. So actually, I don't think Nagel's even better.
This is not over at all. I mean, Minnesota...
Wow. In fact, what's his name? Duncan is just going to go rook A2, bishop D1, rook C2, and just offer a trade of the rooks. Look at Duncan go. I'm proud of him.
Are you proud of your boy? Your D-Shep?
Yeah, D-Shep's really not my boy. I don't even know who he is, but he is fighting well. So let's, Penguin GM, that's Andrew Tang is down to 13 seconds left.
Yeah, but it's an easy draw.
Yeah, very easy draw. We've noted what an exceptional bullet player he is. He's taking the A-pawns, and Black's not even in time to take the G and H pawn and keep a pawn left. Because King G5, you take on A5 with check, you take on A7, then you take on G7, and everything's falling down. So that game should be a draw. So let's.
Yep.
I guess we should stay with D-Shep is 20 seconds left and counting down, so he's got to move faster. And Rook A2 followed by Bishop D1 followed by Rook C2. That just seems like a draw to me. I don't see how Black is going to get out of that.
The one game that has a chance really is the Swears game, because as much as we like Gurevich's combination, Swears made it really weird with this last interesting move, H6.
So can you go E7? Because knight takes E7, rook D8's checkmate.
You should go E7.
But you go queen B6 check first to cover the D8 square.
And then I sack.
The king moves to G3.
No, but that works. Yeah, that's what he's calculating, and that's what he's frustrated about. And by the way, D-Shep down to 6 seconds, but you're right, it's not over. Yeah, this is it. It's coming down to these 2 games here.
I think Gurevich is winning, though. I feel like that position has to be winning for White with the 2 rooks because Black's king is still in deep trouble. But you're right, it's definitely complicated. And what is...
Okay, Nagel moved. Nagel moved.
Yeah, what is Duncan Shepherd doing? He put his king on H2 and pawn on B4, and he's with the flag. Bishop C1, he's lost. Rook C3 and Bishop C1.
Yep, Rook C3 immediately just wins
on the spot. Or knight A4, right? Give me that knight into the action.
I like Rook C3.
Well, Rook C3, then there's Rook B3. I don't want to trade rooks.
Now there's Rook B3.
But there was Rook B3 after Rook C3 as well, because the knight's on A5 protecting the B3 square.
Okay, yeah. And the knight on A5 is still keeping the pawn on B7 down. I mean, so it's not over for D-Shep. What's going on in this? Oh, wow. The Gurevich one is out of control, but it looks like he should get the win. He's gonna.
Well,
Yeah, he swindled his way out of checks, and it's over.
queen d4 check. How are you going to get out of my checks? Maybe
Queen d4 check, rook to e3.
wait. What about queen takes g5, Danny? Just let you queen. I get queen and knight versus queen and rook. I have two pawns.
That's a great idea. Queen takes g5 is the move.
Because I'm scared. I don't see a perpetual after queen d4 check, so I just take on g5, enter an endgame where, yes, you have a rook, but my king's actually very safe in that endgame for black.
Yeah, no, queen takes g5 is what he's going to find. So what happened there? What did he... He went for e7. He went rook d8 first.
He got tricky.
Yeah, but black's just going to play queen takes g5. I think black's better in that endgame.
And look at the clock situation. I think what Swierch is worried about is after the queen takes g5, e8 equals queen, that if white can trade queens, the rook versus the knight, just the rook and knight ending is very good for white. However, black can keep the queens on the board. They're very good drawing. And now we're down to 7-6.
There we go. No time. He goes for it.
So you just go queen e5 here by white. Just bring the queen back, then go rook e2. Okay, queen f8 also does the trick. Black cannot afford...
rook e7 or rook e8 coming, but there should still be something like knight c6 and then queen d2 check. He gets out.
Exactly. So there's always going to be checks. Now bring the rook...
so he sees it.
King e1, yep.
And is it just going to be a perpetual?
G2? I would have gone king g2. Okay, but the thing is, king h3, you have to go queen f5
but this was a nice move. Now you have g5 and you get out. That's the point. He puts the queen on this diagonal.
Queen g8 and rook e6, and then queen h7 or queen f7 mate.
No, it's not. Oh, it is mate.
Oh my God,
he's got mate.
That's
my gosh, Gurevich takes him down.
It's down to Shep, but Shep is getting busted. Shep blundered a zillion pawns.
Shep did blunder a million pawns in Minnesota.
I'm just gonna. Can I just ask a question? Who said that Minnesota is really tough and all these? Okay, now that's a free piece. So Shep goes down in flames. And
wow, Minnesota pulls a huge upset over the reigning Pro Chess League champions. And you said that they had a chance. And they went shock McShockerson. I mean, it shows you that going with the 3 GMs with somebody who basically is going to throw you a donut on board 4 and go 0 for 4 is not great, right? I mean, the board 4 victories that St. Louis got last year from Nicholas Rosensalsa were a big part of why they won.
Oh, absolutely. And there were people clamoring, where is Nicholas Rosenthal? Because they wanted him on their fantasy team. And didn't he beat MVL last year?
Yeah.
Right?
He
he was a great addition on board 4.
This is kind of the opposite of how St. Louis won the Pro Chess League last year. And so in many ways, it's, in hindsight, I guess I'm seeing it a little bit 2020. I'm still surprised, but the truth is Gurevich and Tang together, right, really put on a show today. Tang goes 3.5 out of 4, drawing Fedoseev, beating everybody else, and Daniel Gurevich wins in pretty Swiersish fashion.
Wow. I mean, what can be said here? I don't want to be too harsh on Duncan Shepard because he actually played some decent games. The issue was his clock management was very poor, and when you are underrated, compared to your opponent by 400, 500 points,
right,
and you're also down to 7 seconds left, you're going to be in deep trouble. Now, I know we've joked about some strong players getting in time trouble, but the big difference is their instincts are generally better, so they can rely on them and build up with the 2-second increment. They're more used to playing bullet, etc., and they're more used to playing high-rated players. So Duncan Shepard can learn a lot from this experience. Yep. I don't think he played poorly. The result was poor, but the play was not. And so I think that
I think the archbishops should look out their windows there at the chess club because they might see a blizzard's coming and the weather's getting intense because the blizzard just brought the pain.
And I even got a comment in the Twitch chat by FNCLL. Robert's prediction about Minnesota makes up for his underestimating the Bras.
Yeah,
I didn't underestimate the Bras, but I appreciate you forgiving me, sort of.
Well, the next round of Pro Chess League action is about to start, and Robert and I really don't have a lot of time to say goodbyes because Ben Feingold and David Pruiss are knocking on the door. If you haven't seen Ben Feingold host a chess TV show in a while since his thrashing of Simon Williams, you're in for a treat. And, of course, David Pruiss will hold down the commentary as well as anybody in the business. So this is going to be awesome. I'm excited for this year, dude. I got to give you some credit. You called it. I'm gonna show everybody our full week 1 standings here as of this moment before we sign off. The Pacific Division is about to get underway with a whole bunch of juggernauts, the San Diego Surfers, the San Jose Hackers, the Sluggers, and two of our newest teams that just qualified, the Australia Kangaroos and the Chengdu Pandas are, and the Desert Rats are basically a new team. I mean, honestly, we haven't talked much about them because there was so much other action in that division. But as you said, I mean, they've got Dominguez, Pakidze. They went big with Timur Gareev too. So I think if you are just getting off work, you haven't missed the best part of the day yet. I think the Pacific Division is going to be bananas. So,
absolutely.
Robert,
Danny,
I love you.
Love you too.
It's okay to say that on air.
Oh, for sure. I'm not bashful.
What else do you want to say? I mean, wow, Minnesota just came and took and saw, and they were kicking names and taking, you know what, right?
It's just the season of Minnesota, quite frankly. They won their playoff game against the New Orleans Saints on a last-second miracle touchdown.
Yep.
And they came from behind and won this one, barely gritting this one out. Daniel Gurevich is the hero, even though Andrew Tang was the one with most of the points. So, Gurevich must have actually scored a lot too. So just, like I said, balanced performance all around, and Minnesota is a team to look out for in this season.
All right. Well, thanks for flying alongside me, buddy. I'm going to bow out right now. I want to give a shout-out to everybody who's been with us the whole time. Chess Bay, the one and only. We've got... I think she just did like 100 bits or something for Chessbrahs and Blizzard Pride. Awesome stuff. Thanks to everybody who's been super active in the chat, in the Chess TV chat. Grandmaster Chris Dictator Carilla, who's getting set to play. You need to go focus, buddy. And everybody else who's been with us. Thanks for being here. Ben Feingold might even answer your questions. He's active in the chat. Robert, see you next week. We will be back for the halftime show. We're going to continue to work on the format, do as much exciting stuff as we can. Thanks for being here, everybody, and till next time.